noticed the improvement. And that's the thing I found, that I go for periods where I don't put in the time studying the game, and my game gets worse. It doesn't even stand still, it gets worse. And there's a real strong correlation between spending time studying and thinking about the game and getting better. And I don't, unlike a lot of sports or games, playing doesn't generally improve your game. When you're playing a strategy that you brought to the table. I think you have to think about. Della's chatting to himself. Yeah, so you need to study away from the table and then bring what you've learned back to the table to see if it works. I am talking up a storm, Della. I'm just talking to my dedicated band of.
Tell them I said hello and I love them all.
Yeah,
we're all tank heads.
Exactly, tank heads. Hashtag tank heads. Hashtag fuck the guppies. Yeah.
Hashtag fuck the guppies and stop saying that word.
Yeah, absolutely. No more. Yeah, Kenway. You potty mouth, Kenway.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I'll try not to do it again.
In order for me to analyse your hands, Della, you've actually got to play one. So just want to point that out.
Yeah, well, let me get one first.
Yeah.
And then I'll play one. I had one before, but Mammon had the same hand.
Exactly, very dull, not entertaining in the slightest.
Listen, I don't even analyze my hands. Who knows what I get? I could get 7-2 and win a whole bunch of shit with it. I mean, I don't know what happens. This game is random. It's like Monopoly.
It is.
Right.
I've got a comment.
Got it. I'm just going to believe you.
Let's see what Dizzle's got. Yep, nice. Turns the straight. Now, he could slow down a little bit. He's probably worried about the flush there, but maybe a slightly smaller bet. Gets a call a bit more often, and if you get outdrawn, that's just bad luck. So.
Fold. That's a call. Call. Fold.
Limp. Let's see how these limps work out. They get raised by Kenway. Kenway's now saying he's got the best hand.
And what is that?
Call. Fold. Call.
And he gets called by White. He gets called by Della. Della's out of position in the big blind. Got to imagine Della's got the strongest hand to start here. 4-7-2. Now that suits Wyatt's range. Della claims he's playing the Dirty Vega there, which is 7-2 off. A couple of fake outs. These are the limpers. So these limpers can have absolutely anything there. Kenway's bet 500,000 into what was a 1.1 million pot. Decent sized bet. Wyatt's whiffed, so he folds. Della's whiffed. So what's that got? She can have 5-6. She can have clubs. 5-6 just got there. She can have all the sets. She can have ace-7. That is likely a misdraw. You would imagine the 7's getting bet there. That looks like a small overpair. 9s, 10s, maybe. Maybe a bluff with ace-king. I think 9s, 10s bet the turn again. Yeah. Jack 9 off. This is the kind of hand in this position that I play when I'm bored. But the correct decision there is to fold Jack 9 in early position. If we're on the button there, I'll raise that. No trouble whatsoever. Certainly if the players are passive. But with Wyatt on my left who's active, Wyatt and Joel in the house. Yeah, you play Jack 9, you hit top pair, and you've got people in who can have Jack Queen, Jack King. You're going to lose a reasonable sized pot. Unless you literally flop 2 pair or a straight with Jack 9 off, you're vulnerable. So you want to have position so that you know where you stand and you can keep the aggression up on the flop and turn.
Player folds.
But like I say, if I get bored, I might end up playing that.
Raise it.
So check raise on the flop from C White, which usually means 2 pair or a set. It rarely means a draw unless the check raise is bigger than that. 500,000 into 1.1. So that is either a full
Player
house
default.
or a missed draw, and it's most
Player
likely your full
folds.
house. I'd love to see those cards because I've not played with this fella. Please show us the cards. It is indeed the full house, so he flopped the set. Now he's check raised the flop. What's he scared of? He's scared of a flush. Well, he's only scared of a flush if it doesn't pair the board, so that's less than 9 cards. So Joel was betting flat call that. If you want to check raise, do it on the turn.
Fold.
You lost the opportunity to get paid there.
Fold.
Or is it relaxing crab? Look to windward.
Call.
Look to Windward 99. I've put a link in general.
Oh, thank you.
Fold.
You're the best.
Player folds.
Oh.
Player folds.
Yeah, you see that people,
Call.
you don't get a lot of check raise bluffs in this game. I mean, in this game specifically, at this table. So if someone check raises, they've either got a massive draw, and then, like I say, they're usually a bit bigger, or it's 2 pair or better. And usually because they're scared of
That's
some
a
kind of
call.
draw.
The flop.
Doesn't mean you have to fold to it, but it means
Check.
it helps to put them on that kind of hand.
Hey,
What?
Bet.
it said that it was for mature audiences only. Am
Fold.
I allowed to watch this? 'Cause
No.
it could be like
No.
fucking bollocks. No.
There's a lot of foul language. Just gonna reply to a DM. I'll be right back.
That's it. Yeah.
Player folds. Call. Fold. Fold. Call. Call. Check. The flop. Check. 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 The turn. Check. 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 The river. Player checks. Check. Bet. Raise.
Oh, wait. Thank you, River, the really
Player
good 2
folds.
pair with ace rag.
Oh, I missed this hand. Sorry, I was typing a message.
Well, yeah, so
What's going on here? Ken
Fold.
Way's thinking through.
Yeah.
Fold.
It's either ace 5 or ace 6. I don't know if I'll ever be right.
King 10. Straight.
Oh, the
Oh,
nuts.
yeah, sure. I didn't even think
Now,
about
this
that.
is interesting because see White's stats suggest that he's a bit
Typically,
looser than
whenever
this, but
people
that's
feel
twice so
confident
far.
about their rigs, they typically have it, so.
Fold.
He's gone all in with the absolute stone cold bollocks.
Call.
And the little fish in this game.
Player
I can't be
folds.
bluffing too much.
I don't know if you heard that, but he said, I'm the little fish in this game, can't be bluffing too much. So maybe he's
That's a
not playing
call.
his normal game. Maybe he's a little bit tighter.
Player checks. Here's the flop.
Maybe he's just running hot. Who
Check.
knows?
Player checks. Check. The turn. Check.
And we missed that flop by a country mile. And we will be having nothing further to do. But again,
Here's the river.
I've been let in for free. No one's got an ace. If Joel bets here,
Check. Showdown.
if Joel had bet
2
there,
pair.
he would have been stealing it because he hasn't got an ace. He's probably not got a queen. So I would just check raise just for fun to take the pot down. And he would take it down a huge percentage of the time. And again, Dizzle's limped his threes. Raise your threes. It protects your aces. You know?
Fold. Fold.
This game isn't about the cards you've got. It's about the ranges that you play. So you're playing a range of hands, every single hand.
Player
Right, so
folds.
Joel's limped. So we know he hasn't got a big hand. What have I got? King 7. I'm going to
Call.
complete the small blind.
The flop.
And again, I could have 2-6, 6-10, 10-2.
Check.
Try ask
The
flop.
turn.
Is it
No
2
pot.
minutes?
Check.
Windward? Is that what it is?
Check.
3.
3. Okay.
Check. And the river.
So if I insult you, by the time you hear it, it's ancient history.
Check. Showdown. 1 pair.
Well, then I won't get
You
offended.
win.
You won't be offended. It's so. In my mind, it was like
I can't be offended.
so long ago. Yeah, exactly. What I don't want to do is like the other day when I was talking and I had my mic unmuted and I was playing against Mike Cormier and I went, Mike's full of shit here.
Raise.
Wow, that's a problem.
What made it even better was he had the absolute nuts. So yeah.
Fold.
Yeah, that was,
Oh yeah, I
That's even
saw
worse.
that in
You
your
see it?
video. Whenever the ace high flush versus your king high
Yeah,
ten.
Oh, that's even worse.
That
yeah,
was
yeah.
so sick.
It was all.
Call.
Oh, that was the only. I lost 30 million to him.
That's a call.
30 million to him, but yeah,
Here's the flop.
there was another one later on. Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing else better you could have
Check.
done.
Oh no, it was fine.
You just
Check.
had to go through with it.
Yeah, no, he slow played it like
Turn.
mad. He then slow rolled me
Check.
on the river as well, just as a bonus. But yeah, that was a nice way to
Yeah.
start the stream, losing 32 million on the third hand or whatever it
Check.
was.
The river.
Always, can't grumble about that.
Check. Player bets. Fold.
So hopefully we'll be joined by Fiending soon. He's looking for a seat.
Fold.
He'll get on as soon as he can. It's starting to get a few more people watching, which is lovely. Thank you very much. Got any questions? Throw them in chat. And
Player folds. Raise. Fold.
Easy.
Fold. Call. Fold. Fold.
Particularly early position, so you have to assume he's got either a big pair or a big ace here.
Check.
You have to also assume that he's betting any big pair on that flop
Bet.
because it's scary. So you've got to say he's likely to have ace king or ace queen or ace jack here, possibly king queen.
Call.
Kenway's
The
bet,
turn.
which means he's probably got a pair or connected with that board in some way. And if he's got a 9, he's a very happy
Check.
man. That looks still like ace king or ace queen, but ace king or ace queen could include the ace of spades.
Call.
The snap call suggests
The
that's a
river.
possibility. Ace jack's just got there, unless Kenway's got the 9. If he's got the jack, he should check and give Kenway a chance to bet some of the time and bet some of the time. Either's fine. This looks like a missed ace king, ace queen with a spade.
Player checks.
I'd love to see a
Check.
showdown here.
Showdown.
Well, ace
1-6.
queen, ace 10, close. So that was your big ace. Kenway nicely taking the initiative on the flop there when Joel checked to him. So he's
That's a
thinking through
call.
probably the same thought process I am there, that he's missed the flop.
Call.
So he bets to take
Fold.
it down. The second bet on the turn was lovely, and Joel called with the 10 high flush draw, which was not good. I think Kenway had the king of spades. So
Check.
Kenway's played that good. And to be honest,
Here's the flop.
not a lot of point in Kenway trying to bet that river because the
Check.
ace high is going to be good a huge portion of the time there. And if Joel has got a pair, he's going to call.
Check.
So like the way that was played by Kenway,
Fold. Check.
Joel
The turn.
not so much on the turn particularly.
Check. 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 The river. Bet. Raise.
Meaning's just
Fold.
gone lol. Chose because I'm so far out of sync, you guys. Whatever I said that was obviously hilarious. I've got no idea. Right, Joel's all in. Is this? Oh, it's a huge bet. That is more often than not the flush. Didn't catch it. Fairly sure it was. Sounds like it was. Big over bets on the river are a feature of PokerStars VR. Some people, it always means they've got the nuts.
That's a call.
Some people, it can either be the nuts
Raise it.
or it could be absolutely nothing.
Call.
Usually the nothing makes sense because it's a misdraw or it's a good
Fold.
hand that's gone bad. Sometimes with some people it's
Fold.
just a bluff for bluff's sake.
Fold.
Knowing which are which is
Call.
absolutely key. But if you're one of the people who only overbets the river with the nuts, or does that 9 times out of 10,
Folds. The flop.
people will be onto you and they'll stop paying you off, which is why playing against Jordan's so hard, because he's got what's called a good balance between his bluffs and his value hands. So when he overbets the river 3 times the pot, sometimes he's going to have it, sometimes not. But he's judging that the percentage of times his bluffs get through
Fold.
and the percentage of times his huge overbets get called make it worth it. Another good bet from Kenway. He's improved since the last played against him, that's for sure. Good bet there.
Player folds. Fold.
Creeping up on the viewer count. Nice to see everybody. Say hello in the chat so I know who's watching, because I haven't got a clue how to do it inside Switch. I'm a bit of a Twitch newbie.
Check. Check. The turn. Check. Check. The river.
Another limped pot. It breaks my heart, it really does.
Check. Check.
Hello!
One pair.
Hello, hello.
Fiending joins us. Like playing with Fiending. Someone again who's like Cupid, working hard on their game, trying to actively get better rather than just hoping for a run of good cards, and that's the way to get your money. So, and hello to Fiending's other half as well, who is a tankhead, I understand, a follower of the Relaxing Crab YouTube channel, the 3rd highest rated aquarium-based reality fish show on the internet. I don't know where Della's gone. Hopefully he'll come back. Oh, we've lost Joel. That's a shame. Not that he was playing bad. I don't want him to think that at all, because he wasn't. He was playing pretty well. But the kind of guy you want at the table, he's pushing the action. He's got a big chunk of money in front of him, and he's not afraid to get it in. So kind of player I like to play against. We've got nothing there, and we've got no draws, so we're going to fold. Zaf's been very passive the last few hands, so she's either listening attentively to this stream or doing something else. So when a player's not playing many hands, if they suddenly wake up, it usually means they've got a big hand. Wyatt's back, so we get some action from Wyatt, hopefully. And we've got a seat.
Raise.
Fiending and I have been talking a lot about the game, so he's raising. His limping range has almost disappeared. Still see it sometimes, but not very often. So nice wide range there. Kenway, we know, is thinking hard about the game as well, so he's considering what Fiending might have. Wyatt going to be a bit more splashy. Right, so that has hit what? Who's got more fours? Wyatt is more likely to have a 4 than the other two. Because Fiending can only have ace 4 possibly, pocket 4 is very unlikely. That's about it. Whereas Wyatt can have 5 4, 4 6, 3 4, ace 4, even king 4 suited. They can all have pocket 5s. They can all have 6 7. They can all, Wyatt can have 2 3. Clearly missed that flop though.
Player checks.
So again, Kenway checks. Fiending checks. The ace on the river suits Fiending a lot better. Now does he check from? Oh, there's the 5. So probably looking at a hand like King, Queen, King, Jack from Fiending there. So and to be honest, betting the flop and then giving up on the turn is probably the way to go there. He could have had a stab at the river with the ace, because he represents the ace a lot more strongly than Kenway. But again, no harm in just giving up sometimes. And if he did have King High, that could have been good against some of the draws. Yet another limp. Yet another call from a limp. Who's this? This is Spawn. We played against Spawn before. It's the guy I think it is. His name changes every time because his son changes it on Steam. And it's at the mercy of his son changing his name. I think we'll recognise the avatar. No, he hasn't got an avatar.
That's a call.
I haven't got the stats yet, so we'll have a look at those in a minute. Limp fold to a reasonably small raise. That's essentially just tipping the pot. Queen 10 8, coordinated board, 4-handed, I've got no draws. I'm done with that one. Someone's got a queen or a 10 or a draw out there, so you can bluff and bluff and bluff, but my hand's not improving to the point where I want to put any money in with it. But fortunately, Kenway's donk led into me, which means that he's bet into the pre-flop aggressor, which is me. And he's done that because he's got a draw. Don't mind betting the draw, but it gives me the opportunity to fold hands that he was beating. And if I've got a good hand, it gives me the opportunity to call and raise. So for that reason, I never, ever, ever bet into the pre-flop aggressor. The other way to play that is either to check call or to check raise the flop and get a bit more value out of it. So all the value of that draw was lost to Kenway because I was able to fold. Now let's assume I had second pair there. I might even fold that, or I might call, having a much better idea of when I stood. So if you're not the pre-flop aggressor, let the pre-flop aggressor do the work on the flop. I read something recently that said a hand doesn't really start until the continuation bet, and it's not far wrong. We have everybody's favourite hand, pocket jacks. So we've got call, call, call. We've got a limp call from C White. We've got a limp call from Zaf, and we've got the kind of board that scares everyone with Queen Jack. The 5 should be irrelevant unless anyone's got Ace 5. I've got a lot more kings and queens in my range than everybody else. So if they've all got low cards, they'll just fold. And if they call, I know they've got a king or a queen. And I get 2 callers. Oh, we picked up a gut shot. So more likely to have some 10 jacks out there, unfortunately. There's some ace 10s. There's some jack queens. Not a lot I'm beating, so let's pray for a 10. Oh, the flush has landed. There's a world in which betting the flush is good here, but I think I'm just going to check and see where we are. And there's the king jack. So Zaf flop top pair. So check call, check the river. Again, if she raises pre-flop, I probably 3-bet. She can call and she takes down a decent pot. And also, if the I was going to say if the 10 came, but if the 10 came, Zaf had the straight as well.
Player folds. Call. 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 Player checks. The flop. Check. Check. Check.
One thing I should say is
Check. Player checks. The
I'm
turn.
frequently wrong about this stuff.
Check.
And although I've done a
Player
lot of
checks.
studying, a lot of thinking about this
Check.
game, I'm well aware of the
Check.
fact there's a lot I don't know.
Check. Here's the river.
And in lots of situations, there's more than one way to
Check.
play a hand. Sometimes there's 7 or 8 different ways to play a hand, all of which are perfectly
Bet.
fine. So
Fold.
by all means, challenge what I'm
Fold.
saying, disagree, come up with
Fold.
better lines, because it's through the discussion of hands that I think we all get better. Dizzle is debating call.
Fold.
Didn't see what with. And if you're anyone at this table when I'm talking about you and you disagree, I apologise. But
Call.
let's engage in a discussion about it. One of the things I don't like doing is talking about hands.
Raise it
And
up.
I'm doing it while I'm playing, but I don't like talking about hands with the people I'm playing with at the table.
Call.
Because giving away information to the people you're playing with is the opposite of what you want to be doing if you're trying to win. I think that it becomes
You have the nut.
Yeah, I flopped the full house.
everyone starts to
Player
justify their play. And talking about hands
Player
shouldn't be about
folds.
justifying what you did. It should be about understanding
Call.
whether it was a good move or not.
The flop.
So I don't think there's a lot of mileage in talking about hands
Check.
in any serious way while you're playing.
Player checks. The turn. Player bets.
Well, that's just weird. I'm going to call that on basic principle, and if we get a nice river, maybe a club, we'll bet the pot.
Call.
Although Kenway's more likely to have the flush
And
draw
the river.
here. Oh, there we go. We've got to bluff that. Now, the reason it's a good bluff is because I've got the 10, which blocks some of the straights. Oh, this is interesting.
Player bets.
I have no idea what's going on here. And he's only got 200,000 back, so there's no point trying to bluff him off that.
Fold.
That could legitimately be anything. From the stone cold conkers to absolutely nothing. Yeah, so worth a bluff if the guy had more behind, but
Fold. Player folds.
6-8, another hand which on the button,
Player folds.
people limp, good hand to squeeze with, particularly if it's suited, early position, unsuited in the buck.
Raise it up.
So we've got a limp from Wyatt, we've got a raise from Fiending, we've got a 3-bet from C Wyatt to 975, that's a good size, makes Fiending think about the
Player
call.
folds.
Wyatt
Call.
cold calls the 3-bet from a limp because Wyatt, I ain't going to argue with what Wyatt
Call.
does.
The
A
flop.
call from Fiending, flop is 599. Again, Wyatt's got a lot more 9s in his range than the other two,
Player bets.
although he hasn't hit that
Fold.
time, unfortunately. And Wyatt is great at getting away from things he misses. There's no, there's players who play with their ego. They don't like getting beat. They want to beat the other guy. There's
Fold.
players who play their strategy on their own terms. Wyatt is definitely in the latter category. I think that's aces. Yep.
Figured aces or kings.
And yeah, you can bet a little bit smaller there. There's not a lot he's worried about except for the 9. Yeah, you got ego-based players, and you got players who are playing a strategy and don't get rattled. Never seen Wyatt rattled.
Call.
Not to say he doesn't sometimes go on a absolute tear in terms of playing loose and aggressive.
Raise.
But big difference between that and the people who go on flat out tilt.
Fold.
And there's plenty of those. So raise to 200,000. I like a slightly bigger raise there because it's only 150 for Wyatt to call into what is a 325,000 pot. So he's got 2-1 to call, which means he can profitably call with anything.
Check.
Queen 6-5. Dizzle's got ace queen, ace king queen, aces, kings, jacks, pocket sixes, pocket fives. Wyatt can have a lot of spade draws.
Fold.
Again, hasn't, so it gets rid. I would like to see that. I missed it, unfortunately.
Player folds. Fold. Fold. Call. Call.
Queen 6. Even for 25, it's not about the 25,000 there. If the queen, if this flop comes out queen high, I've got no idea where I am. The 6, if someone else has got a queen, is never going to be best kicker. So it's not about the 25,000. It's about how much is it going to cost when I kind of sort of hit the flop. If it's that kind of hand, it's terrible if the flop comes out queen 6-6 and someone's got ace queen. But that's not going to happen very often. More often than not, you're either going to miss the flop or you're going to be playing a very marginal hand out of position. So just throw it in the muck. So 10-2, Doyle on the button.
Fold. Fold.
We've gone up to a huge 9 viewers. Nice to see you all.
Fold. Call. Player checks. The flop. Check. Check.
I haven't really been thinking about it, but it doesn't feel like I played that many hands myself. I played jacks a couple of times, won a decent pot, lost a decent pot. But you notice I'm not doing this all the time. Oh, look, we're 2 million up. 58 hands, 2 million up.
Bet.
That doesn't matter. This is 58 hands. This is a blip. This is a mote in God's eye. Pay attention to the long run. That's all that matters. The obsession with staying in the green. I mean, it's interesting to talk about. It's fun to talk about, and it's nice to win. but much more important than winning is making good decisions. And if you focus, like I'm
Fold.
trying, this monologue, which I hope isn't as
Call.
dull as it sounds in my head,
Raise.
is what I'm thinking through all the
Player
time when I'm playing. If you do that, you train yourself not to really care whether you win or lose, because all you're trying to do is make good decisions.
That's a call.
Sometimes I'll lose a pot, a big one, and I'll be
Fold.
pleased that I made the right decision, even though I lose the pot. I have to remind myself I just lost a chunk of change. We've called here because Zaffa's limped and I've raised, so she's thinking I'm on a bigger hand. I've got a second pair with the 8. White's in there as well. There's a few turns which I'm going to like if they come up. So I'm also winning a decent chunk of the time here. If I check and a lot of the draws hit, it puts me in a difficult spot. So we're betting here with hope to improve on the turn, get a bit more equity through another draw maybe. And that's a great card for us. We've now got 2 pair. We're losing to 10-8, but I don't think he's got 10-8. He can have ace-10. He can have 5-6. He can have 6-9, and that would be horrible. I suspect I get check raised there. Now we're losing to 10-jack, 8-10. That's a disgusting river. I'm very unhappy about it, White.
Check. Showdown. Straight.
Very disgusting.
So yeah, so there's very as wide as White plays, he's going to connect with that flop a lot, and he's going to have a lot of 2 pairs and a lot of straights. So there's no point betting and trying to bluff him off the bottom end of a straight, because he knows that I'm betting very, very wide. So he's going to call again. Play your opponent. White's an incredibly intelligent guy who knows what he's doing. So he's thinking as hard as I am, at least some of the time. He's not concentrating on something else. So yeah, horrible river. Sometimes when there's a horrible river, you just have to give up, and that's fine.
Fold.
So pocket tens. Now this is where hopefully the previous hand plays into it. Sometimes you get a couple of hands back to back, and it gives you the opportunity to play off the previous hand in the next one. White's not checking a king there. Zaf could have a king. My tens are probably good at this point. And there could be a flush draw, which White will probably bluff. Zaf is ace 8, king. I don't know. She's betting late with a king for value. I don't know, but we're going to call and find out. We only need 250,000 into 1.2 million. I only need to be right there 1 in 6 times for that to be a profitable call, because the bet was so small. So tens are definitely good there 1 in 6 times. So you call. You don't expect to win, but you don't mind if you lose either. So you're not calling thinking you're ahead. You're calling because the price is good enough that you only need to be ahead 1 in 6 times. Because again, 250,000 into 1.2 million.
That's a call. Player folds.
I'm ordering a new computer and putting one together.
Player folds.
So whenever that's done, then I'll be able to watch things
Fold.
at the same time. But I can't.
Here's the flop.
Still can't run everything on super high or whenever I'm playing, let alone watch a video while I'm doing it.
Now I've got second pair there. The reason I've not bet it is because I wanted to call White's continuation bet. I mean, he's not the aggressor, but he's going to bet that flop a lot. However, he's bet so much that I'm going to fold, because he's got a queen enough of the time that I should fold there. And if he has got a weak queen, queen jack with no diamond, I think he's betting that kind of size to protect against the flush draw, the 10 jack, and indeed the hands like I had jack 9. Tens again. Let's see how we go.
The first 2 episodes is basically the Civil War.
Hey, Turtle. Turtle in the chat. And also DSS. I will try and type in the chat in a second once I misplay these tens terribly. We have a limp from Dizzle. We have a limp from Zaf. Zaf's limping a lot more hands in the last 5 minutes, so she's paying a bit more attention. Kenway yet to act. Calls. Dizzle will call. Zaf will call.
That's a call.
And we're 4-way with pocket tens. Now, we haven't hit a 10, but that's as good as it gets. 7-8 beats me, obviously, as do all the sets. So, not a particularly wet flop. There's not many draws out there. There's no flush draw. There's no overcards. So, I'm trying to tempt someone to call with ace 9 or ace 5 or ace 6, or even a 8-10 with a gut shot. I want them calling. People trying that. hopefully is what Dizzle's doing.
Fold. The turn.
We get the 8 on the turn. That's a bad card. We're losing now to 7-10. Pocket sevens.
The whole crew is here.
Ace 9.
Bet.
And he's throwing it right at me.
Up against a wall.
Now, he's bet half the pot, so I need to be ahead 30% of the time here for this to be good.
On you.
Which I probably am. But what's the river going to do to me? It's not going to improve my hand. I'm going to have to call another bet on the river. He's got 2 million back. So effectively, there's only 2 million to call. The other 2 million's going in regardless. I'm losing to all the sets. I'm losing to anything with a 7. I'm losing to 6-8, 6-9, 5-6.
Oh my gosh. Okay, yeah, but not out of
I think you can fold there and that'd be okay.
We'll go to the side. Hey!
Yeah.
Hey, Lima,
So
another good player. And Wasteman, fantastic.
Everything's breaking.
Fold. Call. Fold.
You got
Fold.
knocked out right after me? I was like, wait a minute, she was still at the table. when I
Before
left.
you.
Oh, was it before me? Oh, that's right. Now I remember.
Ace king, yeah.
Yeah.
Fold. Call. Check.
Hi, Mickey.
The flop.
Hi. I don't know who said hi. Hey, hey.
Hello.
Check.
Hey, Lima. I'm streaming, and I know you often you've got quite a filthy mouth on you. So if you would mind,
Fold.
They need a couple
you know,
of
keeping it to an absolute bare minimum, you know.
I like the way they've aged
Yeah.
them and made them all
Yeah.
bent and kind of wet. Dirty.
Easy to count. Easy to count cards in the watch.
You just pull one out every now and then.
That's what I do. Anytime I get a king, I just put this back in place of it.
You need a
Make it
club?
pocket king.
We're streaming again, Wasteman. So
Call.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
cool.
I've got the little badge now and everything.
Call.
Yeah.
I'm
that's
official. I'm official. Oh yeah.
Fold.
Got the badge and everything.
Yeah.
Fold.
So
That
Call.
means don't say the F word. Don't say
Fuck.
fuck.
no fucking swearing.
Call.
Winward,
Check.
Winward doesn't like the word
The
fuck.
flop.
Get very
He
upset.
actually,
Check. Check.
So fucking don't say it. Whatever you fucking
Yeah.
do.
Are we all clear?
Whatever
Is
the
that
fuck
is
you
that
do,
is that
don't
message
you
clear?
say that word.
No fucking swearing from anyone. Good.
Fold.
Counts me out.
Fold.
It's my only vocabulary.
Player folds. Call.
You know, I have to turn my
Return.
head like this and I can hear the entire table. But if I go like
Player
this,
checks.
I can't hear you two over here.
Bet.
Unless I turn.
That's a call.
It's almost like we're
The
married.
river.
It's all right.
Player checks.
Nobody's anyway. They don't got
Check.
nothing cool to say.
Showdown.
So I
Nice
turned
hand for
my
Wyatt.
head now I'm holding my head like this.
damn.
You
You were
assume it's just gonna
betting
give me a
because of
hint.
your
Great flop for Wyatt.
and
He's
didn't
got
even have anything.
all over that. Absolutely all over that. If you're going to play loose, you've got to know how to play.
I had pair of fives. I would have
Fold.
lost anyway.
Fold.
Yeah, one thing about the game is the looser you play, the more complicated post-flop play becomes. If you only play strong hands pre-flop, you're only going to have so many situations post-flop.
Call.
So you make your life a bit easier.
Call. Call.
The looser you get, the more complicated you make your life get because you've got to know how to play a huge number of situations.
Kids have fun in the bouncy house.
So generally speaking, looser players don't do as well in the long run unless they're good at what they're doing, like Wyatt.
Return.
I'm
Player checks.
blowing smoke up his arse because he's a good player.
Check. Player checks. And the
You get on the
river.
link?
Check.
You said your vision's clear?
Bet.
Yeah, after taking off the space helmet.
Player folds.
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
Raise.
Where the hell did that come from? That was Zaf. Right, let's work out Zaf's exact hand here. I think pocket sevens. I see the pocket sevens, Jack Queen, Jack 10 or 5-6. Probably 10 Jack.
Yeah.
So we fold. Let's say 10 Jack, 10 Jack or pocket sevens. And Wasteman's got
Player is
a full
all in.
house.
Crap, she get a full house.
There we go. So Zaf has 10 Jack.
Is there an eight?
This is not your day, is it?
Fuck it. No, it's not my day, is it?
Showdown.
And they both have 10 Jack. Yay!
Straight.
Nice hand. I'm like, if she hit the straight also, maybe I have a longer one.
I was
Nice.
hoping, yeah, maybe I had the longer one, or you hit a full house with the 2s and 9 or something.
Good call. Good call.
Nice.
We've heard a lot of things about you, Waste Man, but you definitely don't have a longer one.
I have a longer one than Zaf. Trust me. What is he trying to tell you, Zaf? Do you hear this guy?
Raise.
I love you, Waste.
Raise from fiending, call from waste.
But the
Pot is
river
now
is
475.
bigger one.
You're calling me stubby?
Right.
Fold.
This is a
You
loose
know
call.
we're
That's a
streaming this,
call.
right? So the truth is gonna get out there now. That's not
Sure,
cool.
why
That's
not?
Gonna
a call.
clip that.
That's my
That just
secret.
means Crab's. That just means Crab's got some editing to do
Call.
with me on the table. So.
The flop.
We're playing really deep against some of these guys, so we can kind of get away with that. It's not a great move. I wouldn't do it every time. Certainly not bluffing at this.
Come on. Half a mil.
Bet.
Oh, 300.
Just putting money in the pot.
Yeah, nice size bet. 30% of the pot at the time, so 300 into 1.3 million. I think
Fold.
he fits his range nicely. He's the open raiser. He can have ace queen, he can have jacks, he can have kings, he can have
The
king
turn.
queen, king jack. Great card for fiending.
I think I'm willing to fold here for any amount.
Bet.
Again,
I don't think they'll
maybe a slightly bigger bet
gotta
does
layer
the
it
job,
Fold.
You
but
can do it. You can do it.
slam dunks fiending's range as the open raiser.
What you're saying is my ace queen is good?
Yep.
Was that too much?
Oh, we've lost White. I think his microphone was having trouble.
A little bit too much.
I was just trying to get
Call.
a little bit more money in there. Yes, I should have.
Call.
Limp, 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 limp. Fold, 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 fold.
Oh my god.
Having microphone
Call.
trouble, what?
I can't get used to him
Call.
without the hat.
Without it?
Yeah.
I'm not. Oh, it came right off again.
Raise.
Huh?
Yeah, it's your trademark, man.
I'm losing now.
Call.
I'm losing. Look.
Coolest
It
Call.
doesn't get you any fucking luck, that's for sure.
That's a call.
Really?
But the important thing is,
Call.
don't
The
think
flop.
I've made any mistakes so far. Happy with how I'm playing. That's the
Player
important
Can
thing.
you hear me?
Obviously, I'm a lot happier when I'm winning.
Oh my gosh, now talk.
I think
Most
that ace
important
queen is
thing,
good
play well.
again.
I can hear you. Say it again.
Bet.
Hello, hello, hello.
800,000.
Oh.
Hello.
Wait, you're having audio problems?
That's not
Oh,
even pot.
frig. I just used my old left because Sway, last time I lost
Someone's
in
got
the
an
air.
Player
echo.
folds.
It's not
That's
me.
waste man.
Coming from over here.
Say that again.
Sway,
Raise.
last time I had ear set go, Sway sent me his set. So I put the new set
Oh.
on that he gave
I
me.
think somebody
And
had to
I
have
had a
blocked it.
left that was still good. So I just put my left on there right now. So
Fold.
meh. Sort of works.
Call.
Cool.
The turn.
Why are you trying to point out that I'm
Player
betting
is
Straight
all
on the
in.
flop, did you?
Oh, there we go.
Player
Trying
is
to point out
all
what?
in.
You were trying to point out that I was betting with
The river.
nothing.
King 10.
Oh yeah, yeah. Because I had a fair on the flop and you had
Yeah.
shit.
And I'm like, and then I started to try to tell you that I learned from the best, and I was pointing at you, but you couldn't hear me.
Right.
So you were like,
I'm sitting there thinking, did you get it straight on the fucking flop?
I missed the action earlier there.
You did play
Put
that
a
wrong.
lot of money in there too. Holy shit. Over just pairs.
Call.
Fiending's got a draw there that
digits.
can work.
No
And
two pairs on the
Fold.
flop.
I'm a
too top,
gambler.
you know.
Fold.
he's turned his
Hoping
queens
maybe
into a.
a full
That's a
house
call.
would save me.
That's our finish.
Call.
That I'd get it on the river
Call.
or something.
So he's turned his queens into a bluff there, which
Here's
is
the flop.
kind of not what you want to do.
Now I
It's
gotta
Check.
listen to his stream afterwards.
Afraid
just
so,
to hear him
Fiending.
say, what a fucking moron.
I'm about to
Me
say
or-
exactly.
Me or you?
I was just getting to it. I was just explaining.
The turn.
It was just coming up. I'll just go back to it. Give 3 minutes. Yeah. So,
Oh, okay.
so anyway, yeah.
Player bet.
So when your hand's moderately strong
Can't
and
you
you,
talk to the
That's a
table
call.
sometimes?
no, I'm streaming.
Tell us.
not helping out, am I?
Call.
So when you've got a decent hand like queens in a
Fold.
situation like that,
figured with the,
The river.
I figured with the straight. I figured with the
Oh
straight
my
draw, I was
God.
whatever.
You know, I would love to hear you
Call.
commentate a Saturday night.
I'm doing next week.
Raise.
Are you?
Good.
Yeah.
All by yourself?
No, with Turtle. Yeah.
No, with Turtle.
No, it's good dynamic. I'll
Fold.
be right.
I'd like to see it. I think it'd be
I
good.
want to see you all by yourself talking about the hands.
No,
Straight
you
up.
need the colour guy like
Fold.
Turtle, and then I'll do the
Yeah.
analysis bit.
I just
I
want to
had
hear
the
about
ace
the
also.
hands. I'm sitting here.
Of
I'm
course, I
falling.
got rid of it.
Your
It was ace
shit's
two.
all smooth
I
and
had the
it's
What are
nine.
the chances
I
of-
feel
Huh?
zen.
I had the 9.
No, I'd
You know
like
what I
to
mean?
see both
I could do
Turtle and
multiple
Cap do it.
things.
Fold.
Yeah, listening to my
Fold.
internal monologue
That's
here.
wonderful.
This
Fold.
is going in my head all the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right,
no, 'cause you're giving bits and
can I
pieces of
get
good
back to telling
information.
Fiending how terribly he played those queens? Because I haven't finished yet. I need to finish that.
I had both ace and 9.
Right, so
A 6 card.
nice
No,
and
I
what to
think
say.
I think it'll go well between Turtle
So
and
I didn't see the early part of the action, but
Player
Oh,
folds.
it's gonna be awesome.
yeah.
Check. Here's
But
the flop.
when you got a hand like that,
I won't
Check.
overwhelm Turtle.
Player
you've got
checks.
queens there.
The
exactly.
turn.
You're unlikely to be ahead. You're not going to get called by hands that you beat, but you are beating a lot of hands if you get to a check
It's
showdown.
right mix.
The river.
Also, queens in that spot are blocking a lot of the draws,
Bet.
so it's unlikely
Holy
that
hell, yeah,
Zaf's
keep
got
going in.
king queen, jack
Raise.
queen,
Raise,
10
man.
queen because you've
Call.
got two of the queens.
Showdown.
So it's
Full house.
Son of a bitch.
horrible when your
That's
queens.
what I get for playing 9-2. It was big blind.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's.
It's all kicked off it.
Totally what I get.
It's horrible when you have to let the queens go, but sometimes you just need to.
Right.
I'll maybe come
Yeah.
back to that one later.
The
But
board
no, I
kind of
continued on and I started betting.
just
when I
lured you
started
in.
betting.
Oh,
to
sorry,
push.
I didn't realise I haven't got the table view
Player
turned on. Let's turn that on.
Pretty fucking good. Oh, I mean,
Well,
pretty
based
darn
on your
good.
betting, you had the deuce for sure. I was
Call.
pretty
Yeah.
excited.
You see that?
Sorry,
Yeah.
Like
I don't have
slithers
that.
like a snake.
I don't have the table view turned on when I play normally because
Fold.
well, I don't. So
Fold.
yeah,
Right.
apologies for that. I've got it on
Exactly.
now.
Goes down hard,
Yeah.
Fold.
extensively.
Feel like serves me right.
Yep.
Fold. The flop. Player checks. Check.
Check.
Bet.
I can't get to the fridge in time. I need something to drink.
So many a slip between cup and lip, and this might change later on. But the current plan, I believe, is to do a bit of commentary on high stakes Saturday next week. So looking forward to that, and really looking forward to
put you on the 7.
working with Turtle again.
I didn't think you'd have an ace.
Enjoy his commentary, and I think we've got. I think between us, we tick most of the boxes. He's significantly more entertaining than I am, and obviously, I can bring the
Yeah, no, I didn't
hand
put you on the
analysis chat.
aces.
Not that he doesn't know what he's
That's a
talking about,
call.
because he
I
does.
figured I got
Fold.
2 higher cards than that 7, but do I want to chase them?
Fold.
Race man.
No, I've been
So-
candy crushing, believe it or
Fold.
not.
I think he crashed.
Fold.
Were you a big
Fold.
Tetris fan back
The
in
flop.
the
Yeah, I
90s?
was.
So
Yeah, I like
did you
Tetris.
try the VR version?
Bet.
I'm not sure
The
I
turn.
know if there was a VR.
We've lost Wasteman. Hope he comes back.
Maybe.
VR version?
Might have a bit of a glitch
there
there.
was there was an app that I downloaded that had this like a series of games.
The Tetris
It might have
effects.
been Tetris-like.
Is it any good, White?
Call. The river.
No, I haven't played it. I just was curious if anybody played it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No, I
Check.
just when I'm at work, I tend to Candy Crush, and if nobody's talking at the table or I'm
I have
just
to check.
feeling
I'm
a
not going
bit
to try to bluff you
like
on this.
I have to fold too many times,
Player
I'll
checks.
Candy
Showdown.
Crush. I've been Candy Crushing
Three of a
for
kind.
years.
Oh, nice.
You saw what I had, right?
Some of them can be
Yeah.
very difficult.
So Kenway's checked the river there.
Trying to induce a bluff.
Exactly what I was about to say, to induce the bluff, which is nice. If you think your opponent's very weak, then you can check into them. That underrepresents the strength of your hand, and you often get a bluff.
Player
If you're going to do that, you then check raise, trying to make them think that you're bluffing them yourself.
Raise.
Something which is important not to overdo, because if you're not careful, you end up checking really strong hands into people
Call.
and giving them a free check back to see if they're winning. So, in the right spot, against someone who looks like
Fold.
they've missed their draws, it is worth checking to try and induce the bluff when you're out of
Call.
position.
The flop.
But use it sparingly. But yeah, good move by
Check.
Kenway there, because he
Check.
read Wyatt correctly.
Check.
Did
Wyatt,
White's crash
The
or
turn.
he went to an SNG?
Check.
Wyatt fortunately understood that that's exactly what Kenway was doing, and so didn't pay him off.
Bet.
So that was a good hand. Really impressed by Kenway's
Call.
improvement, actually.
Fold.
There's
Here's
the
the
helm of
river.
Colorado. That's the one we all know.
Check. Check. Showdown. One pair.
Nice little pot for fiending.
I just realized the top of this looks like lipstick.
He's 10 in the small blind.
Yeah.
No
Call.
movement so far on the leaderboard for the ring, so we're still in good shape there. The trouble is, when you're ahead, it's in your best interest not to
Call.
play. But
Fold.
I'm not. Don't get me wrong. I love winning the rings, but I'd rather be playing.
Call.
Of course, if I lose a pot, it's
Little
as
bit.
good as
Thank
handing
you. I came back to the table and
handing that amount to my
Call.
opponents.
between my
So
eyes.
I've made a mistake playing at the last knock-ins
I'm watching
before.
the stream to see just if you guys can hear me. Oh no, I just disappeared.
Right.
Yeah.
This is an interesting little spot. Have I got the ace of
Yes,
diamonds? I have. Fantastic.
The
Ace of
leaderboard's
diamonds gives me the
really
backdoor straight,
close all
backdoor
week,
flush
isn't it?
draw. It
Player folds.
reduces the number of flush draws that my opponents can have.
Fold.
So we bet a decent size. We're out of position, so it's a slightly bigger bet than it would have been if we were in position.
Player is all in.
And Lima goes all in. Now she can have, it's only 500,000. I'm not going to
Call.
slow roll her. She can have Jack 10, Jack
The
Queen,
turn.
9, 10, exactly. She's got no diamond. She's drawing
And the
pretty
river.
thin here, and we bink the ace on the end.
Showdown.
And that's the risk of playing short stacks.
You
You
win.
don't get the opportunity to play creatively post flop.
Thank
You've got to really get it all in,
Oh,
often in positions where you're in really bad shape. That said, Lima is a cracking player and one of the best single players in the game. And at the moment, I don't think her
Fold.
bankroll is particularly large. When it is, I've seen her play extremely well and extremely creatively, make some good bluffs and some good laydowns.
Raise it.
But that's a good point about this
Player
table.
folds.
People's play is often really heavily determined by their bankroll. People tell me all the time, you can afford to do that because you've got a lot of chips. I've got a lot of chips because of the way I play, not the other way around.
Raise.
But if you haven't got,
Player
if you're not
folds.
properly bankrolled for the table, it's going to be in your mind when you're
Fold.
playing. You're going to play either too aggressive because you're trying to run it up, or you're going to play too tight and fold. Either way, you're not thinking clearly. So that doesn't mean you have to have billions. It just means you need,
Raise.
let's say, 10, 15 buy-ins, so
Call.
that if you do lose a buy-in,
The flop.
it's not the end of the world, and then you can play properly because you're thinking about playing
Player
properly
checks.
rather than worrying about how much you might win or lose. Big pot here. Fiending's 3-bet pre-flop. Fiending's got a lot more aces in his range.
Bet.
There's no way Zaf's bluffing there. She's bet 4. She's bet the pot. So we're looking at ace king, ace queen,
See, when I
tens.
get in a position like this, I'm not sure.
Now
I hate that.
Fiending's got ace queen. If he's got an ace, he should have bet the flop.
Fold.
Yeah, kings. That's a fold. And ace king from Zaf. Yeah, as expected.
I figured you had a fucking ace queen, ace king, something like that.
Now, against a lot of people, I would
So the
bet.
ace helped.
I
The
would.
king was a good kicker. Had a spade, but yeah, I was getting a bit worried about what you might have there.
Against a lot of people, I would put a little bit out on the flop just to see where I am. And I don't like that phrase, but it doesn't hurt there because you're going to fold a lot of the range. You're going to fold a lot of the small pairs.
Raise.
Chart
You're even
told
going to
me to do it.
get called by a lot of
Fold.
draws.
I'm kidding.
Again, Zaf,
Well,
um,
if anything but an 8 would have fell right there, I'd
No,
have
you're
shoved
not.
Player
it.
folds.
she's going to tell you pretty much what she's got with her bet, so it doesn't matter. Check folding there is absolutely fine.
Raise.
Feel free to analyze the shit out of that windward and tell me what the hell.
That one was right. That one was perfect.
Is that
But
you played perfect?
Fold.
by fiending.
Fold.
Oh, okay.
But Zaf, which is exactly the point. Zaf wants to get the rest of fiending's money in
The flop.
with a few draws, maybe even kings. So you bet half the pot there. You don't worry about the flush
Well,
draw.
I'm thinking that's not your range. I
Um,
think that we're safe over here.
you
Don't do it, crab.
Bet.
Now fiending's in trouble here because he's got a lot of aces, he's got a lot of king queens, he's got a lot of mid pairs.
The
I mean, a
turn.
lot of scare cards for him here, and I can bink an ace. So if he's got ace jack, he's stuffed. Now he's bet there. He can have ace 5, he can have ace 3. He hasn't got pocket aces, we know that much. We're going to flat call here.
Call.
6 million off of me.
And the river.
And ace jack, which is bizarrely what I put him on, has just got there. There's no reason why he should have ace jack more than ace 10, but I think ace jack's so there's no way this is a bluff. I've got the ace of clubs, which means there's fewer flush draws. Bizarrely, ace jack was exactly what I put you on. I've got ace king.
On you.
I don't think it's good. You can have ace 5 there, ace 3 occasionally.
Player folds.
Ace king, chop pot. Never call for a chop pot.
All right, that's the last time I'm going to show.
That's good. It's good for the stream. It's very good for the
Don't
stream.
show ever, and all of a sudden I'm showing, but I had to show that I actually.
No, this is good for the stream. Very.
Call.
You did. You stole half the pot.
Did I play that wrong?
Call.
I prefer a 4-bet pre-flop, but you can flat that and do that. Both are fine. Nothing wrong there.
Raise.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can play like that. No trouble.
Fold.
I get confused whether my mic's muted.
Fold.
Hello, Velati. Bankroll. My bankroll is currently 1.8 billion. 1.823 plus 20, so 1.8.5 billion. I need another 150 million for 2 billion, which would be lovely. I don't think I'm going to get it today.
Fold. Here's the flop.
Yeah, ace king's an awesome hand. I love ace king. I think it's relatively straightforward to play.
Player bet.
If you play it right, you win a lot of big pots and you lose a lot of small pots. Occasionally you'll lose a big pot, but it's when you hit the ace and someone else is playing the ace with a weaker kicker, so few people can get rid of, are incapable of folding top pair. When you hit the king, wonderful. You can hit all sorts of fun 2-pair straights. If it's ace king suited, you've got a lovely load of lovely nut flush draws. Absolutely adore ace king. I think people expect to win with
Raise
it.
up.
You lose more than you win with it in terms of number of hands, but you win a load of money with it because you win a lot of big pots if you play it properly.
Fold. Call. The flop.
And that is the driest arse flop in the world.
Check.
The only flop drier than that is king 7-2. I can probably nick this one with a little bet.
Player
That's why it's folding unless he's got a king, because he's not got king 6 or 6-2 or king 2. He can have king 2 very occasionally. He can have a few kings. Call me with ace 6. But he'll fold a huge chunk of his range because he's got a lot of suited connectors, mid cards, a lot of weak aces, and we pick up a little. Oh, sorry, Kenway's in there. Didn't realise that. Right, if Kenway's called, he's likely got a king, so we're pretty much going to check fold from here. I've not picked up any draws on the turn.
Player bet.
Yeah, we just fold to what is likely a king, and if he's not got a king and that was just a float, then well done. Yep, king 9, actually turn 2 pair. So yeah, betting with the intention of folding if you're face resistance. I think people think when they bluff they've got to keep going. Sometimes, yeah. If you bet and you got a draw and you miss and you pick up a bit of equity, keep blasting away. But sometimes you fire one bullet, the reaction tells you where you stand. Give up. No harm in that. This shouldn't be a game about the ego. This should be about doing what's best. I'm not saying I'm blameless in that regard either, because sometimes it does become not personal, but you want to beat someone. You think, right, I want to take that guy down. But if you're thinking like that, you're not thinking clearly. So the players who do the best are the ones who are the calmest. So I strive and fail sometimes to keep on an even kill.
The flop.
We're now 3 million down on the evening, which is neither here nor there, and is a very small pot.
Check. Check.
So what we don't want to do is
Player bets.
lose too much and start giving people a chance
Call.
to catch up on the weekly leaderboard. But certainly not going to stop playing for a while yet. Flush board. Usually a bigger bet on a flushing board because it prices out, or it makes the
Fold.
you want to make it expensive for the draws, and you'll fold out a lot of hands which
Player
are
folds.
decent but don't want to call a
Fold.
pot size bet. I usually bet about 80% of the pot on flush boards, whether I've got the draw or whether I've hit it. So with the ace of hearts, I'll bet 80% of the pot. Ace 6, ace 5,
Bet.
ace 4, ace queen, and with king jack, I'll bet 80% of the pot. So it shouldn't be possible for my opponent to tell
Raise.
which I've got. White is representing the 8 very strongly there. So ace 8 is
That's a
huge,
call.
as is
The river.
any flush. Kenway's more
Check.
likely to have a king or the ace of hearts. Less likely to have an 8. I think he would have. He can have an 8, unlikely, based on the pre-flop action. So White's either got the ace of hearts, a flush, or an 8. He can have a few full houses in there as well.
Call.
Kenway's called,
Showdown.
and there's the nut flush for White, and he flopped it.
Sick flop.
That's a horror show. That is a horror show, but
Well,
that is why you don't
nice.
play 10-2, because you are
Sick.
giving yourself what are called reverse implied odds to lose a huge pot.
Player
I
fold.
should have gone away from that. Man.
Yeah.
It also
Call.
depends on the color too.
So yeah, that's why you don't play 10-2 suited.
Fold.
Can't have a forward head, otherwise you're not getting the nut.
If you do play it, you're going to get stacked, and you didn't play it terribly, but that's why you try not to play hands
Fold.
like that.
Call. Fold. Call. Check. Here's the flop. Check. Bet.
Yeah,
Fold.
the difficulty, Fanta, is when you're playing against people with different stack sizes. Aggressive short stacks on a table with big stacks are very hard to play against because they should play tight and aggressive. And when they do play, they should be getting their stack in. There aren't many of those in this game. In fact, I can't think of anybody who plays a good aggressive short stack strategy at this table. A lot of the short stackers are really nut peddling and looking for good hands to get it in and passively dribble away chips on draws when they should be betting.
Raise.
Yeah, a good short stacker is a pain in the arse to play against if you're playing deep stack. Right, we've got pocket threes in the big blind. We can 3-bet here, but I think
Player
Fiending's
folds.
going to call when we want a bit of fold equity. So we're just going to flat, and we're going to hope to hit a set because we're out of
Fold.
position, and anything other than a set is
Here's
no
the
good to
flop.
us.
Player checks.
So a sort of draw, backdoor straight draw, but the worst backdoor straight draw in the world. Have we even got one of those? No, we haven't. Yeah, 4 and a
Bet.
2, but we're just going to ditch that.
Player folds.
Did I have the 3 of clubs? I did.
Here's the turn.
Yeah, I've got a rule where I will call sometimes in marginal situations to set mine on the turn if I haven't got if I've
Call.
got the card of the
Here's
flush
the
draw.
river.
So what I mean by that is that the 3 of clubs would have been a terrible card to come on the turn because it would have given me a set, but it would have given my opponents the flush. The fact that the 3 of hearts has come out on the turn is mildly irritating, but as you can see, the chance of my set being ahead there is
Player
practically
all
0.
in.
So
Showdown.
good fold
Flush.
by me because I didn't have the odds to call. There was a flush draw out there, and I was beaten by queens as well. So situations like that, when the 3 hits, you see people throwing their heads up in despair. Wasteman probably didn't have enough back to get away from that. I think he's just getting stacked there every time. And nicely done by Fiending because he drove me off at the
Fold.
3, which he should have done, even though he would have beaten me. It was a good bet
Fold.
because at that point he had ace high.
Call.
Yeah, if you make a correct fold
That's a call.
and your miracle card happens to land,
Fold.
you still made a correct fold,
Call.
and the table doesn't need to know about it.
Check.
The whole "you'll never guess what I folded" there game that everyone plays,
Check.
and I'll tell you after what I
Player
folded.
checks.
Don't
Check.
I don't care. No one does. No one ever cares what you folded once you're out of the hand, unless you hit a royal flush, in which case they do.
Fold.
But yeah,
Fold.
you make the correct decision, and if your card comes in,
Fold.
well, it's going to come in sometimes. Yeah, that's my pet hate that. People telling you what they folded. I would have flopped a straight with my 6-3. If my auntie had wheels, she'd be a bicycle.
Call.
Fiending limps under the gun. Now he knows I'm on the button here, so that could be a trap.
Call. Fold.
Iceman calls. We're going to walk straight into a possible trap.
Raise.
On the button, so they all know I'm going to
Player
raise a lot wider there. So although ace jack's towards the top of my
Call.
range, people are going to call a bit lighter
Call.
because I do this with all my with a huge range of hands on the button. So the strength of my hand is underrepresented a little bit, which is good.
The flop.
I get what is a pretty damn good flop because
Check.
I'm only really losing to pocket twos, pocket sevens,
Check.
ace seven, ace two, and there are a billion hands that I'm beating. So we're going to bet 600,000 into the 1 million pot. I want the flush draws to call. I want ace 9, ace 6, ace 5, ace 3, ace 4 to call. Again, if they got ace 7 or ace 2, good luck to them. But there's a lot more of all the other hands that I'm beating out there, and there's a load of flush draws.
Fold.
I've got the jack of spades, which reduces the number of flush draws a little bit.
Fold.
And hopefully, well, I don't really mind. I'll take a call or a fold here.
Fold. You win.
And we get a little pot. Those spots where you're thinking to yourself, I don't mind if they call and I don't mind if they fold. If you feel that, that means you're playing well. That means you're balanced because you put your opponents into a difficult spot where whatever they do is fine.
Raise.
So yeah, wasteman calls. He can have a flush draw, great. He can have a weaker ace, great. He can have
Fold.
maybe a
Player
pair below an
folds.
ace. And if everyone
Player
folds,
folds.
yeah, I win.
Fold. Call.
If you
Fold.
take 100k hand sample,
Fold.
AK makes more money from only raise or re-raise before the flop. Why it's so important to raise before the flop and isolate limpers? Absolutely agree. Yeah, I've got a big database of hands
Player
I've played in the
Fold.
millions, and yeah, Ace King's a massive winner. Ace King suited, interestingly, significantly better than Ace King off for a range of reasons. Be a huge winner, Ace King. I think people's memory bias fails them with Ace King quite often, or they play it so passively that they don't get full value out of it.
Fold.
But the fact is, with Ace King, you play a lot more big pots,
Fold.
and therefore,
Call.
when it doesn't work out, it
Fold.
inevitably doesn't work out in spectacular fashion. That's the kind of hand you
Fold.
remember.
That's a call. Call. Check. The flop. Player checks. Check. Check. Bet. Fold. Call. Fold. The turn. Check. Check. The river.
Right, neither of them should have a king here because they would have bet
Player
turn
bets.
probably. There can
Call.
be a few straights out
The
there.
turn.
Hey, there's the
Straight.
straight. Yeah, White probably called with a queen, maybe a jack. Nine five.
That's a call. Player folds.
I'll
Fold.
upload this to YouTube
Player folds.
once this is done. I was pleasantly surprised again by how many people watched that last time.
Player
So
folds.
thanks for anyone watching this on the
Player folds.
YouTubes. And if you're on the YouTubes, do
Fold.
check out my other
Check.
incredible, I mean,
The
genuinely
flop.
astonishing YouTube channel, The Relaxing Crab.
Fold.
Voted the 27th most hilarious YouTube channel by my mum.
Fold.
This is very marginal. Probably should fold Queen Jack in early position, but the table's a bit passive at the moment. Dridge is very passive in the big blind, so I'm not expecting a lot of pushback from him. I haven't mentioned Dridge, which if you've been at the table for as long as he has and you haven't drawn attention, you're playing too tight. Reasonably wide stats though, so that's unusual.
Fold.
Maybe he's just getting a particularly bad run of cards or
Fold.
not any good positions, but I suspect he'll wake up at
Fold.
some point. Folds through and all the way through, and we
Fold.
pick up the blinds. Which
You
is
win.
never a terrible thing with Queen Jack off. Queen Jack off, King Jack off, 10 Queen, King Jack are the kind of hands where you are in danger always of backing yourself into trouble because you flop top pair or a draw. Your chance of getting the nuts is not huge, and you are going to pay off the nuts, and you're going to pay off hands that are marginally better than yours. Terrible hands on the flop rarely cause trouble.
Fold.
It's the marginal hands that cost the money.
Call.
Unless you're a complete and total lunatic.
Player folds.
Right. Raise on the cut-off from Fiending, called by Dredge. Limp call from Kenway. Jack 8-6.
Player checks.
Kenway can hit that with his limping range.
Check.
Fiending can't.
Return.
Only hit the Jack with Ace Jack, King
Check.
Jack. So Fiending's missed that. Dredge
Player
calls.
bets.
Fiending versus a very small bet from Kenway. 25% pot on the turn, but puts Fiending in a tricky spot with Ace Queen, Ace 10, King Queen.
Fold.
So he folds probably correctly. I like a continuation bet from Fiending on that flop because Jack high with middling cards, you can bet half the pot, it'll get through a decent amount of the time. But again, checking's fine. Check folding's never a problem.
Call. Fold. Call. That's a call. Call. Raise.
Raise from Zap in the small blind, so we're looking at big pairs, Ace King, Ace Queen, Ace Jack.
Call. Call.
And limp call. The bet from Zap was 175, which meant it was only another 125 to call. That's about the worst flop possible for Zap because there was a load of limp calls, which means big pairs like aces, kings, and queens are now going to get stacked a lot by 6, 7, 4, 5, and all the sets. A load of flush draws out there as well. So she's going to either win a small pot here when everyone folds, or lose a big one.
Player folds.
Sometimes my grip glitches out.
And that's when we start talking about board texture. And that board texture is as wet as the Niagara Falls.
That's a call.
So Wasteman's going to call with a 6. He's going to call with 6-7. He's going to call with 4-5, 3-4, 4-3. Dridge is going to re-raise, which means the only hands that a big pair is beating is 6s, 7s, 8s, 9s, 10s. Zap's in a horrible spot with a big pair now. So Jacks or better are in a nightmare spot. So sometimes you can actually check the flop with these big pairs, like I suspect Zap's got here. She's absolutely stumped for what to do.
That's a little bit too much for...
Maybe Ace King, possibly. 10s, Jacks, good fold if you folded a big pair. Disciplined. Wasteman's in a tricky spot because what Dridge is representing is 2 pair or better, or even the straight. If Wasteman's got a draw, he has to fold. If that was a bluff by Dridge, that was fantastic. Good hand.
Had 2 hearts. I wasn't going to chase a heart for that.
So Zap has 2 hearts. So it's probably Ace King. Now, interestingly, Ace King has got the outs to the nut flush.
Chasing a heart with a higher heart.
Oh, interesting. Higher heart means not Ace King. People don't have to give away some information. Maybe King Queen, Jack Queen. If the Ace of Hearts was involved, there was of course the straight with the 2, but then it could be the low end of the straight when Dridge at the top end.
Check.
Jack 10, the small blind, when everyone limps, I'm just going to take a free flop because you can hit a lot of flops.
Check.
If you miss,
I didn't like that.
Poor Dridge.
Player folds.
Don't be on Zap's list.
Call.
yeah, you're getting a free flop with a good hand. If I raise there and I get called, 10 Jack doesn't connect that often, and it needs 5 cards often to make a good hand.
If you'd got a million, I might have
Player
had a
checks.
look.
Showdown.
He had
Three of a
position, I knew
kind.
that was tough.
It was. I wanted to call it, but I couldn't. And I
Fold.
decided I'll only go in small swings, not large
Fold.
swings.
Player folds. Fold. Fold.
King 7 on the button.
Fold.
Can raise there, but it's white, and I don't want to tank with
Spend
white
the
with
line
King
and
7.
wisely, that's all I have
Check.
to say.
The flop. Player checks.
Want to hit 2 pair?
Player folds.
Did I already go down on that?
Doesn't matter.
No, not too much.
Still, I think you're still third on the board. You gotta get crab.
Oh, no, I'm not worried so much about that. I'm more about how much I got in the bank than where I am on the leaderboard.
Raise.
Leaderboard just represents that I've got I'm in the green. That's
Fold.
Yep.
why I like to follow the leaderboard, because
Player
it
folds.
does help me know that I'm in the green.
So now raise from fiending under the gun
Pretty
should
good this week.
define his hand pretty
Call.
effectively as a big pair.
You might have to shut
Now I
that
could
one
fuck
down.
with him by raising here. I will not.
No, as long as I'm on
Fold.
the leaderboard, I'm in the green.
Not least because white's behind, and white could 3-bet here quite wide.
Still in the green.
Dizzle's
Player
is
folds.
watching something,
The
which
flop.
means that if he,
Player
because he's
checks.
distracted, if he plays hands,
What?
he's likely got a decent
Check.
one. Good flop for
Check.
Fiending's
Turn.
range
I
there.
don't know why I like the
Surprised he
big
didn't
ones the
bet
most.
that.
Bet.
If he's got a queen, he can check call, but then he's kind of
Call.
giving his hand away, and that's such a small bet from Wyatt that I've got no idea where he's at.
Call. The river.
This is one of those boards where everything's possible, including the flush now. So anyone could be anywhere on this one.
Check. Check.
You've got an ace on
Showdown.
area. You've got an ace,
2
best
pair.
just check it through. I was just about to say.
I know
You're
when you
lying in
guys
wait.
all checked, when you guys checked or whatever, I'm like, here comes the spade.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm
Only
out.
thing I'm thinking
Fold.
is one of these two are lying in the bushes waiting to pounce.
Raise it up.
I know it.
I had a pocket pair,
Fold.
and I kind of
Me
thought...
too.
Fold.
I kind of sensed that Wyatt
Fold.
was bluffing the way
Call.
he was handling that. I thought he was
That's a call.
Thank you.
giving up on
Call.
what he had.
The flop.
I felt you giving up on what you had. Must
Check.
have been the
Don't-
spade chase.
Don't tell
Check.
anybody.
Player bets. Call. Player
He's got the
folds.
backwards hat going right now, the
I
right
can't get
color,
caught
and a
bluffing on,
you're
caught
in a-
bluffing on,
you're
caught
in a-
bluffing on,
you're
caught
in a-
bluffing on.
Can't see
Fold.
what he said.
It's like
The
a death
turn.
cross on a fucking stock chart.
Check.
Hell yeah! I gotta go back just to watch
Player
that queen that shove.
Yeah.
Just can hear him say, "Oh my
Call.
god,
The
The
problem
river.
was,
what the fuck was he doing?"
the problem was everyone talked so much about what I was going to say. By the time I got to talk about it, I'd forgotten what happened. I kept going. So anyway, and then it went, and then,
Player
and then,
folds.
and then.
and then now you're talking.
It's so weird because the feedback I get through the
Fold.
chat and whatever is 3 minutes at a time. So people will go lol. I'm like, I've got no idea what they're lolling at.
Right. And you got a great memory too, so
I need to kind of sync my brain in three minutes ago.
yeah. Set it on delay.
Yeah.
Call.
I just want to know if you ever solved
Player
SpongeBob's
folds.
murder. I haven't got to
Call.
that yet.
Oh, I know. That's all plotted out. There's a complex plot arc over 3 series.
Fold.
I know the outcomes. It's not like Lost, where at the end it was all made up. This is
Fold.
all.
All right.
It's like the Avengers, the
Call.
Marvel universe. It was all planned out ahead of time.
Raise.
I just want to know if those fucking
Call.
guppies did it.
Call.
Fuck 'em. Absolutely fuck 'em.
Call. The flop.
Somehow I
Check.
think there's going to be a twist. And I think it was the crab.
Player
Whoa.
bets.
Well, there is. Should say for anyone at the
Fold.
table here and listening, we have hit, I believe, the 43 subscriber mark. There will be in the next episode a fantastic giveaway of Relaxing Crab merchandise. I can say that now. Hey!
Me and you were talking about it so much earlier.
Oh, yeah.
I still think when you hit the $2 billion mark, you got to get them to do a custom crab that sits there.
I wouldn't say no. That's all I'm going to say. I wouldn't say no.
You got the black horns, now you need the
Yeah.
custom
Player
crab.
folds.
It just sits there.
Fold.
Little
Well, they
pincers.
should already give it to him because he is over 2 billion on the all-time.
I'm lazy. Hold on. Call.
Call.
Oh, yeah, there we go.
Yeah, you could watch me eating it.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, threatening me. The trouble is, I've seen how people abuse Zaf's kangaroos. I'm not sure. Sorry, rats. I've seen how people abuse Zaf's rats, so they're going to abuse any crab
Call.
in similar fashion.
Player folds.
I'm not sure I can.
Fold.
Yeah, I'm not sure I can handle it.
Fold. Check. The flop. Check.
So check.
Well, the crab does have a tough shell, so
That's true.
God damn it.
keep
Bet.
the privacy bubble on and keep it in the protected
Yeah.
area.
Fold. Player folds. Raise.
So finally we get a
Player
decent. We've had
folds.
tens twice and we've had jacks twice. I think we get kings
Call.
under the gun. We raise to 225, 250. Same as I would with any other hand. So that,
Fold.
I mean, this could be twos. I could be playing ace jack, ace 10, ace king, ace queen, any
Call.
pair. 9, 10.
Call.
We get
Fold.
2, 3
Fold.
callers. We're out of position,
Flop.
which is a horror show. And that's not a great flop. Have we got the king of diamonds? We have not.
Check.
If I had the king of diamonds, I might put out a little bet there.
Bet.
With those kings, you just say goodbye, thank you very much, and I hope you hit the flop next time. That's not to say it's because I think White's got an ace, because he could have king queen, he could have a diamond draw, but
Fold.
against all the possible hands that White's got,
Fold.
these kings are in absolutely shocking shape. I'm going to show you this, White, and then you can show me your cards, and then I can sound like I know what I'm talking about. There we go, perfect. That illustrates the point beautifully. Yeah, so White could have an ace there, he can have a flush draw, but even if he's got the flush draw, that flush is going to come in 36, 37% of the time by the river. He's also got a lot of aces, there's a few other draws out there, so if you lined up...
Don't bash that play on stream.
I was admiring the play on the stream.
Fold.
Just saying, although you had the flush draw, your range was crushing me, so yeah.
The flop. Check. Check.
And I did say you could have the flush draw before you, so perfect, absolutely perfect. Yeah, so the range of hands that White's got destroys me, and even when he's got the flush draw, even those flush draws are winning 30% of the time. If I've got the king of diamonds, then his flushes are coming in a little bit less, and also I can hit a backdoor flush myself. But with no king of diamonds, two other people in the pot, which means he's less likely to be betting with absolutely nothing. You just fold it. I lost 225,000 on that pot. And we get another good hand.
Call. Fold.
So White limps. He's been quite active the last few hands, so his range is wide, and obviously we saw a call raise with 6-3 of diamonds or 6-2 of diamonds, whatever it was. Dizzle's called. I'm out of position, so I'm going to bet a little bit more. I'm going to 50,000 for each of them. So that should make him think. Happy if he calls, happy if he folds, which is always a good sign. I've got 2 people coming at me. Alright, so this is heads up with Wyatt. I hit the king. Ton of draws out there. So he knows I've got a lot of kings in my range, so he's only going to call with the draws and the weaker kings. He could have a set, of course. King, queen shouldn't be in his range, nor should queen 6, queen 5. 6, 7 is, of course, as is the diamond draw. We're playing a big pot here, and if I'm beat, I'm going to lose a lot of money. I haven't got the ace of diamonds, which is good. King Jack, probably not. Queen Jack, Jack 6, that's a great card for me. I'm going to check and I'm going to call any bluff he makes here. He needs to bet about 10 million to get me to fold.
Showdown. 1 pair.
So,
You win.
where was the bluff? I needed that. If I'd have been able to bluff catch there, that would have been perfect. I'll send you the script next time, so you
Call.
This is a good flop.
That was a good hand.
Putting it up so much.
Yeah. That's exactly why I did it. To get your draws.
I know.
To
I'm
pay.
like,
Yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna keep going. Come on, deuce.
I'll tell you, if diamond had it on that river, I'd have been fucked.
Yeah.
Now I check and white bets and I have to call off.
Call.
That was good. That was a textbook hand. That was a good one.
Player folds. Call.
Yeah, I didn't even want to bluff at it. I'm like,
The
fuck
flop.
this.
Check.
I'm not gonna put out like a
Check.
mill because that's easy called. So I had to go like 5 or 6.
Oh yeah. No, I said 6.
Bet.
As I checked, I said I'll call anything up to 6
Player
because you have to bluff so wide there. Yeah. And I was even
Fold.
debating if you shoved, probably calling.
Player folds.
Yeah, interesting spot there because and the reason I didn't bet the king on the river, or the king when I got to the river, is because it gives White the opportunity to fold everything that I beat. He calls with a lot of stuff that beats me, any 2 pairs, any weirdly played kings, king jacks, jack queens, and he gives him the opportunity to raise even bigger with a bluff. And if he raises on the river, and I've bet with just the king, I'm in an absolute shell. So my top pair with the top kicker becomes a bluff catcher. Now he didn't follow the script because he didn't bluff, but quite often White would bluff in that spot. Unfortunately for me, he knows me well enough that he's probably got a fairly decent read on me that I've got something like ace king, ace queen, ace jack, king queen. So he's not going to bet, but White will bluff on that in that spot a big percentage of the time. That was a really fun hand. Hands like that are the best. Win or lose.
Fold. The turn. Check. Player bets. Fold.
I had the 6.
Yeah, so the ranger hands that White's got.
Player folds.
Just saying, although you had the flush draw, your range was crushing me. So yeah.
Fold. Check.
Or even worse, you had the 8.
And I did say you could have the flush draw before you, so perfect, absolutely perfect.
Player folds. Call.
Oh, limp pot.
Call.
I like it.
Player checks. The flop.
So interesting flop there.
Check.
We've got a button v blind, v
The turn.
small blind, v big blind battle where everything's limped. So literally anyone can have anything apart from a decent ace.
Player bets.
Waste
Fold.
can have a flush. He can have 6-8. He can have ace-7. He can have ace-5. Chances are he's got a weak some sort of flush or
Call.
straight.
The
The
river.
call by fiending probably implies a high spade, possibly a
There's
6.
the deuce
Check.
on the river.
There it is.
Showdown. 1
Yeah,
pair.
so the weak 8 from Wasteman, nice little value bet, and I'm assuming that the king there, I didn't see it.
Where was that 3 hands ago?
Call.
We're going to
Player
see where we
folds.
are. We've been playing well, and we are
That's a call.
exactly 1 million down after 100 hands.
Fold.
Fine. Not unhappy with any decision
That's
I've
a
made
call.
so far. So winning or losing doesn't really matter. Thinking back
Player
over those
folds.
100 hands, anything I'd do
Check.
differently?
The flop. Check.
Not really. Quite happy with that.
Check.
Sometimes there's a
Check.
hand I play and it bugs me for
Check.
ages until I work out what I
Turn.
should have done.
Check.
Whether or not I won or lost,
Check.
I genuinely get more angry
Check.
when I win a pot
The
and I
river.
think I could have won more if I'd have played it differently than when I lose a hand.
Player checks.
I'm a bad winner
Check.
in that regard.
Showdown. 2 pair.
Now it's just taunting you.
Checked all the way through.
Raise. Fold.
Oh shit.
Yeah, I
That's
know
a
I
call.
should have raised that, but
Fold.
Maybe on the flop.
I
Fold.
wanted to do something a little different.
Fold. Player folds. Player folds. Here's the flop.
Well, that is a hell of a flop for this. So we've got a gut shot straight draw. We've got a flush draw. We're underrepresenting we're overrepresenting our hand because there's
Player folds.
so many big pairs in my range. White folds. He didn't connect with the flop. Absolutely fine. And as far as anyone's concerned, I've got 10s through aces there, and that's good. So,
Oh, right on time. Okay.
so thank you, Fanta.
Call.
I've got the most money. Whether I'm the best
Fold.
or not is a whole other question. There's a lot of very good players in
Player
this game
folds.
who don't necessarily put in the volume to get the
Fold.
bankroll or have the opportunity to play at
Player
the big
folds.
table to win the chips.
Call.
But yeah, discipline's the key to it all. You've got to be able to
Raise.
fold when you know you're beat, and you've got to be able to put a bluff
That's
in
a
when you
call.
know that that's the right thing to do. So again,
Call.
eights, we're raising.
The flop.
I could have any hand here in my
Check.
range because I bet all of them. I'm only losing to a 9 here in pocket 7s.
Bet.
Wyatt's range is wide enough that he's not got a lot of 9s and 7s in there. He will, however, call with 8 10, 10 jack, 6 5, ace 7. I've got pocket 8.
Fold.
The good thing is with my 8s, they
Turn.
block a lot of the straight draws. So I'm going to check, and what I'm going to do is bet here again and give White the opportunity to raise with a 9. So I'm going to check, give him the opportunity to bet with his draw, and I'd call here. Any bet really.
Player bets.
And that's small enough that I can call it. I'm not going to check raise
Call.
because he's only going to
The
call if he
river.
beats me. We get a lovely blank on the river. So
Player
again,
checks.
I'm only losing to a 9. He's probably got to bluff a few of his draws here because I've underrepresented the strength of my hand. He thinks I've got a lot of ace kings, ace queens in my range.
Player bets.
He bets. That feels like a value bet to me. I'm going to call anyway.
That's a call. Showdown.
He did have the 9,
Full boat.
and we get away with without losing too much, which is nice. He picks up the flush draw on the turn just to really rub it in.
Fold.
Yeah,
Fold.
but that kind of hand, again, no point going, oh my God, you hit the 9. He's going to hit the 9 a percentage of the time. It's going to be a small
Raise.
percentage of the time.
Call.
But you play the hand in such a way as you don't lose a
Fold.
big pot with marginal hands like that.
Fold.
We're getting a little run of cards here. Right, this can be called. You could even fold this to a bet in the small blind, but I'm going to 3-bet it. If I get
Raise.
4-bet, I fold this. But now I'm representing a big pair. I'm representing ace king. People know that I 3-bet with small suited connectors. King queen's not usually in my
Call.
3-betting range, so this will be fun.
That's a
And
call.
we get a called out position from Ace Man. Now Ace Queen's in Phoenix range, as is 8s and 6s, similar for Ace Man. There's not a lot of draws out there, so we're going to bet small ish and give him a tricky decision.
Bet.
So he's got Jack Queen, he's in a horrible spot. If he's got Ace Queen, he'll call, and he'll still be not sure about it.
Fold.
Waste should have a few draws there that can call.
Raise.
He's raised. That says he's got well, the only draw is 7-9.
Are there any other Whites games had that I can still get?
So few draws out there. That's either a total bluff or...
On you.
Yeah, just the space hat.
I'm beating nothing there. Unless he's got Jack Queen and and he thinks I'm bluffing. I'm
only
just going
have
to
the
fold face
original
up.
one
Just
from.
ask me in Discord
Fold.
when you want me to open up the table, and I open up the table, and then you play 100 hands. I think.
Hey, that's twice tonight.
So
And,
it's 25. It's uncapped at the Galaxy space.
yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah, because the only
Whenever
one I
you're ready
still
to
Yeah,
have
do
is
twice
better
tonight.
for
I've
100
folded
hands,
the chop pot. Fiending as well for
just
5
let me
million.
know.
Perfect.
Fold.
Okay.
So yeah, that's a nice little hand there. So
Player folds.
I think that's
Do
the.
you ever think that they're gonna raise up the? They're gonna
Raise.
make another stakes level, like 100k, 200k
Fold.
for
Call.
the game?
I think that's the
Fold.
bottom
I
of
really would.
Wasteman's range there. I
We
don't
asked
think.
F last.
So if there was a flush
no,
draw out there,
2
then
weeks
he's
ago,
raising with a
we
lot of
said
flush
no.
draws. If the
Fold.
board was a bit
So
more
maybe like
connected,
something
Flop.
that you could only host like before.
I think
Yeah,
he
who knows?
bets there with
So,
some more draws. But literally, the only draw was
$50,000
7-9. I
or
don't think
half
he's
a
betting
million,
7-9
so
with a check raise.
Yeah.
Fold.
So there's a lot of sets in his
you know all
range.
those people are going to be on it, right?
Shouldn't have
They're gonna
kings
bring
very
up
often.
200
In fact,
million
he
to
should
300
never have
million.
kings or aces.
The guy that comes there with 20.
Probably a
It's
bit of
like
a
the guy
tight
that was here
fold,
with
but
1. Right?
against Wasteman specifically, I don't think that's too bad.
Call. Fold. Fold. Raise.
And a little run of hands here. Again, late position,
Fold.
queen 10, beautiful. Early position, not so beautiful.
Okay.
So I should be the post-flop
Call.
aggressor here, so again, I can represent a strong hand post-flop.
Call.
And there's a load of flops I connect with. Dangerous hand, though. Great way to lose a lot of money playing queen 10 suited. And Dizzle's back in. Dizzle's been quiet of late, so he's got something there, otherwise he's folding. And you'll notice I bumped it up enough because there was a
Player
limper that the
folds.
call from the big blind
Here's
actually
the
meant
flop.
something. Great
Check.
flop for me. I can represent the ace. I've got the 10. I'm blocking a lot of hands with my queen, and I've got a draw
Bet.
with king to the nuts.
Player folds.
Shouldn't get many calls here. And when I do get called, I'm ahead of some of them.
Player folds.
So yeah, that looks like a bad flop for queen 10. It's actually quite exciting. If you get played back at, you fold. And like I say, quite often learning how to fold to a raise when you bet is key. But yeah, trying to check that through and get a result with your 10. No. Bet,
Fold.
win it, move on.
Fold. Player folds. Raise it. That's a call. Player folds. Fold. The flop. Bet.
You bet there,
That's a
Kenway.
call. Here's the turn.
Presuming Kenway raised pre-flop, I missed that.
Bet.
Yeah, so bet call. White's got a lot of draws. The 9 completes a lot of draws. It also makes a few more hands. It gives a few hands a lot more equity. Jack Queen's out there, a lot of flushes from White, a lot of weak 10s. He has to call with a 10. Kenway's 3-barreling that a lot with a lot of just big card hands. Probably check calls with jacks. So there's a good chance Kenway's not got much here. White could call this pretty light. As light as a6 even.
Call. Showdown.
He did call it pretty light. He had 10. Kenway, I'm assuming, had either ace, king, ace, queen, ace, jack, king, queen, king, jack. And White thought about all of that. I'm absolutely sure. All the way through there.
Start worrying about my kicker. I stayed in because of the flush draw.
Yeah, it was a good flop for you. Yeah.
That's a call. Raise.
Middle-ish suited connector. Perfect. Balances your betting range.
Fold.
It's a lot of
I
flops.
figured you had spade
Fold.
draw, but I didn't think you had a 10 of spades as well.
Call.
I
Fold.
was like, what is he about to call with here?
Call.
They usually call those the
flop.
dream flop when it's paired with a straight as well.
Check.
You know?
Yeah.
Check.
We've got the
Player
gut shot
check.
here. We've got the backdoor flush draw.
Return.
None of which comes in. Sometimes I'll bet that, but against 3 people, you're very rarely getting it through because there's a lot of kings and queens out there.
The river.
So check and give up unless you hit the backdoor
So
flush
it was 1 million
or
into
the gut shot.
3.4. So I was like, all
Yeah, I was giving you 3 to 1. Yeah.
Bet.
Put in more.
Player folds. Player folds. Player folds.
Nice runner. Nice straight draw. Good thing I didn't hit it.
Fold.
A couple of other things I've got going on at the minute. Obviously, as I keep plugging and will continue to plug till the day I die, the Relaxing Crab YouTube channel, the internet's premier aquarium-based
That's a call.
reality TV show,
Call.
is ending nearing the end of its first series. We're heading for 1 million
Check.
subscribers on that channel.
Player checks.
Very close. So if you
Check.
want to just tip us over the edge,
Check.
that's Relaxing Crab.
And the turn.
Check.
Check.
Sure you'll enjoy it. And
Fold.
also this Saturday, I am, I think, hopefully going to be doing the commentary on High Stakes Saturday
Player
alongside
folds.
Total Juice, which I am looking
Fold.
forward to a lot. Yeah, I may even show my face to the viewing several. I've also got a YouTube channel as Look to Windward, where I post these streams after the fact, and there's a whole bunch of stuff I did last year, some of which might still be relevant, but it was all before the cards were shown on the screen during the hands, so it was a lot more difficult to make content then. Jack King in the big blind, bunch of limpers, punish them.
Raise. Call.
White calls wide, Dridge, if he had a hand, he'd have raised on the button. Zap only completed because she was in the small blind. So we're heads up with white, and my range is a lot stronger than his. He can have a 7, he probably hasn't. Small bet, hopefully will bring along mid pairs, bring along weaker jacks. Say small bet was actually quite a decent bet, but still only 700,000 a call, so I should get a call from 8-9, 10-9, all the jacks.
You win.
And we've got King Jack, and we take down a reasonably sized pot. So little pots like that, if you win 20 pots like that over the course of an evening, like 1 million, that's your profit. People think it's the big pots. If you play them right, you win as many as you lose, or win slightly more than you lose. But if you can pick up 20 or 30 pots like that over the course of an evening, that's your profit.
Fold. Raise.
This is an interesting spot. So he's raised in late position. He's been pretty quiet. He's limping a lot, so his raising range is narrower, which means that ace tens in real trouble against his raising range. So you fold in a small blind rather than playing a hand out of position against potentially a very strong range. Let's see.
Call. The flop.
So 4, 6, 7. That favours White's range a lot more than Dridge's.
Check.
That suggests 2 big cards. The king slam dunks Dridge's range. White bets, which means he's likely got 2 pair or better. That's a small bet though, so that could mean anything.
Call. The river.
Dridge calling again. I don't know him well enough to work out what he's got there. Strongly favouring White here. Dridge pretty much has to call even with ace high.
Fold.
I suspect ace queen, ace jack.
Raise it up. Call.
Yeah, if you put your entire bankroll on the table, eventually you go broke.
Player folds.
No matter how good you are, eventually you're going to go broke. So someone's put in a load of garbage. It's, I'm not sure where it came from. Oh, it was Tizzle. Well, that's peculiar. Right, we got ace 9.
Raise.
I can call there, but then I'm really limited to hitting the flush. If I 3-bet, I can represent a strong hand. If he 4-bets me, I'll fold here. But he's going to be playing out of position. He's going to define his hand by if he calls, it means he hasn't got aces, kings, queens. He can have a better ace. He can have ace, jack, ace, queen. He folds a big chunk of the time, as do most people.
Fold.
Wasteman calls quite a lot, folds quite a lot. Again, we win 500,000. Again, that 3-bet there with the ace-9 is 3-betting with the intention of folding your 4-bet. And it balances all the A times. I've got aces, kings, queens, jacks, ace, king, ace, queen when I'm calling the 4-bet. If you only 3-bet and 4-bet your best hands, then you are really easy to play against. Something I've started doing against Jordan recently, because he's so good in large pots, better than I am, I don't 3-bet him at all. I didn't for a while. So instead of, or don't 4-bet him. So when I bet and he 3-bet me, I was just calling his 3-bets with my entire range, including aces and kings, which meant that my 3-bet range was made a lot stronger, which made me harder to play against. Whereas my 4-bet range against Jordan was so narrow because I was only 4-betting aces, kings, queens, jacks, ace, king, that Jordan knew exactly how to play against me. Again, because we're playing so deep. So sometimes you can plug a gap in your game by stopping doing something completely. And I would say that 2 things that people can stop doing completely to plug a gap in their game: never limp and never donk bet. Never lead into the aggressor. Let them do the work. In both cases, there are situations where it's the right thing to do, but they're so few and far between that if you never limp and you never donk bet, you won't be making much of a mistake.
Bet.
Have we got quads here? This is the old mind game of, is there quads out there? Wasteman wants to know. Fiending's representing quads. Often that's a pocket pair when people do that, but it's a horrible situation to be in unless you've got quads.
Fold.
7-9, we're in the hijack.
Fold.
I can raise here and put in a little funny bet. Don't want to raise too big, because if I get 3-bet, I want it to be small enough that I can call if it's the blinds. I'm in the hijack, so you've got the button, which is where Wyatt is. You've got the cutoff, which is where Kenway is, and the seat to the right of the cutoff is the hijack.
Here's the flop.
Everyone calls. Again, I'm the pre-flop aggressor.
Check.
We've got 3 callers, 2 jacks. There's a lot of jacks in all their ranges, not many 3s, but I haven't got any
Player
draws. If I'm bluffing, it's a complete airball. So again, we'll just give up.
Bet. Fold.
Wyatt can have a jack, he can have a 3, he can have absolutely nothing.
That's a call.
Kenway
And
much more
turn.
likely to have a jack, although yeah, he probably check calls a jack. No flush draw, no straight draws out there
That's
on
a
the
call.
flop at least.
The river.
Wyatt can have a middle pair here. Kenway's absolutely
all in.
100% got a jack, possibly ace jack,
Call.
possibly king jack.
King's full.
Oh, I mean,
Showdown.
wow,
Full boat.
Look at that river.
wow.
Right up.
Shit.
But I got that wrong.
Nice hand, nice hand.
I was very wrong there.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So wrong. Nicely done. Well, so Kenway's
Better
taken
try to get me off it.
the
Fold.
risky route of not 3-betting his
One of those dream
kings,
scenarios, I guess.
which is
Well,
unusual.
fuck this.
And again, it was pretty much what I was just
Standing
talking
there.
about. If you've got
See if
no
he
3-betted
calls,
range, then
keeps
fine.
calling me, keeps snap calling me. What the fuck?
Wyatt's betting his flush. Wyatt's bet the
You know,
3,
you get those people, right? They just
which turned
get
into a flush
annoyed
draw.
that you're snap calling them.
So yeah, can't
I
argue with
saw
Wyatt's
this
line.
time and I'm like, yeah. Now I hope he
Player
doesn't have
fold.
king
Time to
jack.
milk him. Shoves all in.
Player
I was convinced he
fold.
had king jack on the river when he snapped. I was, oh, that's king jack. Yeah,
Call.
Yeah.
Mm.
Like what the fuck?
Fold.
yeah, absolutely.
Call.
Yeah, so Wyatt's picked up the extra equity with the flush draw on the turn. So
Here's the flop.
although he's got the pair of 3s,
Get
it's
me back to even
it's a
with
sort
50
of
winnings
bluff.
on the table.
Nice aggressive line.
It's all good.
And if he hits the diamond on the river and it's not a king,
Thanks for not
he
having
picks
more.
up a huge pot because Kenway will pay him off with his pocket kings, probably. So
That's it.
risky
So
line from
just had to
Kenway.
call anything, really.
That's a call.
Yeah,
Fold.
I just
Return.
the diamond paired the board. Well, luckily it was king of diamonds.
Yeah, that's exactly what's
That was a gem
Bet.
card.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Player folds.
Remember waste? Serves me right for being in the hand with those cards.
We can't hear you talk.
Yeah, I was wondering
Nope.
why. so
Oh, we've lost him. We've lost. No.
Player folds.
Nope. Can't hear
Nope.
you.
Yeah.
Player folds.
Sorry, West.
Call.
You're saying Windward muted you?
Call.
Yeah, I've got God powers. The streamer badge gives you God mode.
Fold.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, nothing.
It's like when you only play one hand out of 15, you don't get a voice.
That's
Yeah,
a call.
Windward, how do you reckon you're gonna get
Check.
nerfed soon? Only one whole card.
Yeah.
What are
Nerf
you
Inc.
gonna do?
OP,
Check.
please nerf.
Bet. Player folds. Fold. Call. Here's the turn.
Dizzle's falling asleep over there.
Check.
Oh, or watching TV.
Look, I'm on the road to catch up to Crab.
Player bets.
You sent me back 10 mil.
Yeah. How much? Oh, you're on second. Oh.
Yeah, it was at 60 mil. I was thinking another 20, 30, you know.
Yeah. I'm doing a lot of
It
treading
only
water.
took fucking 2
Fold.
hours to get that 10 mil.
Yeah.
This fucking tight ass table.
Yeah, I've been hanging around 2 and 5 for
Wow.
the week. And down.
Big hand against Jordan. And then I won 30 million one day, and I
I'm
didn't.
not going for the ring, by the way. I'm going for the credits.
Fold.
Oh yeah, yeah.
'Cause
Call.
I'm lacking credits right now.
He's
Just
nice.
bought like 50
Fold.
of these golden cigars,
Fold.
man. It's put me under 2,000 credits now.
Call.
Oh.
Player
I
folds.
just want to keep my bankroll
check.
happy. My bank
The flop.
happy. I'm not really that
Player
interested
checks.
in
Check.
any rings or even credits.
No,
Bet.
I like the rings. I'd like to get
I
to
wasn't
10.
just betting a 3.
Raise.
I was betting a 2 pair with an ace kicker.
Exactly. Yes. Apologies.
Fold.
Sounds better.
Oh, fine. Better than 3. No one wanted it. Go for it. In fact, he's snaking the grass with his pocket kings. You know, can't legislate for that. Yeah.
Fold.
Look at that. Nice flop.
Yeah.
It's only nice when you got like 6 people out of 8 in the hand. And you got
Well, I
2
didn't
people
want
that
him
flopped
chasing diamonds or full houses, so I just...
It's nice when you got somebody that flopped a
Call.
boat, someone that flopped a 2 pair,
Fold.
and then shit cards come after
Fold.
that, and you're good. You take everything.
Fold.
Did you hear how I won the big pot against
Fold.
White's mate the other day?
That's a call.
Not White's mate,
Check.
Exotic's mate.
Here's the flop.
One of his friends was playing
Recently?
this week.
Check.
This is why I got the 90 million. So
Check.
Exotic,
nice.
Here's the turn.
Exotic has a home game, and his friends were around beforehand, so he lets them have a go with the headset
Check.
and gives them 100 million. Which, you know, fair
He put the headset on his
Player
friend.
check.
fair play. Yeah. So I
And
played
the
against this
river.
guy Tim before, and he's
Check.
not bad. You know, back
Check.
and forth.
Player
This other
check.
guy Zach sits down,
Showdown.
100 million.
One pair.
Loses 30 to somebody
You
else,
win.
or Zach, or the other fella had lost 30. But he had 65 million in front of him. Second hand, he's playing. I've got pocket jacks. Right, so I raise, I 3-bet, or whatever. Flops
Fold.
Jack 5-2.
Fold.
So while I'm thinking, how am I going to get the 50 odd million off this fella out
Player
of him?
folds.
He shoves the lot in. Right, open shoves the flop. With 10 Jack. Drawing
You got
dead.
Exotic in the background screaming
He prepared itself.
on every hand, right? Don't play that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Fold
So yeah.
that.
Fold.
So ridiculous pot.
Call.
Although to his credit, he was messaging me in the
Player
chat about
check.
it. He was fine.
Me?
Flop.
That's
Check. Player checks.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, it was awesome. Right, I'm going to be back in 2 or 3 minutes. Sit out for a sec. Won't be long.
Player folds. Fold.
Are you far behind? Are you still in third? see your players. All right, I'll be back later.
Call. The river. Check. Player bets. Fold.
What'd you have?
I'm guessing club first.
No, it wasn't a flush.
Fold.
Hey. Right,
Fold.
we're back.
Had a 8-9 of hearts.
Call. Player folds. Check. The flop. Check. Check. The turn. Player checks. Bet.
Okay, we've got a seat open here. Let's see if we can drum up a bit of attention.
Raise.
Let's post a link in the Uncapped.
Fold. Fold. Call. Raise. Call. Fold.
Right. I'm trying to jump up a bit of business in
Call.
Uncapped. We'll see who turns up.
Fold.
Right, Geeky Abbey. Right, so let's have a
Call.
look at Geeky Abbey's stats. I
The
played with
flop.
him before. He's only got 1.2 million on the table, so
Check.
unfortunately we're not going to play a lot of poker post flop.
Player
Largest
checks.
pot 9 million.
Player checks.
Win percentage 24%. Only been playing for a couple of
Bet.
months, so he's done well to get up here, and he's stuck around for a bit. So full credit to him. But with 1.2 million, he's
Fold.
going to get hurt pretty quick if he's not
Call.
careful. And you can't call a bet for 500,000 and leave 700,000
turn.
back. It doesn't make sense. Doesn't matter what you got there.
Player is all in.
There he goes. Should have a jack or a 6.
Call.
It's got a jack and chop pot. Is it? Yep, chop pot.
Side pot. 2 pair. Split pot.
Everyone loves a chop pot.
Fold.
So
Call.
you got 4s in a small blind. Interesting spot this one because you can limp trying to
That's
set.
call.
or it is a good opportunity to 3-bet and then represent a stronger hand.
Fold.
Depending who I'm playing against, I can go either way. And I think against Dizzle, who's the open limper, he's not playing particularly deep, so I'm not going to win a huge pot if I do happen to spike a set while representing a big hand pre-flop. It's just a limp.
That's a call.
Kenway's raised out, which is lovely, because Kenway's sitting on 23 million, so the implied odds for hitting a set are huge.
The flop. Check. Bet.
80% of his range, which includes a lot of ace kings, ace queens. He's only about 125,000. We'll call that. We'll hope for a 3 or a 5.
The turn.
Jack, that's not bad.
Player checks.
Again, that 125,000 was odd. Don't know what that means.
Bet.
But I ain't folding for 300,000. I could check raise here, but again, he's only calling when I'm beat. He's not folding much. I've got showdown value against already, so we'll just
The
call.
river.
And that's a bad card for him because I've got a
Player
lot of
checks.
7s in my range.
Check. Showdown.
Queen. So we've seen it twice now. He's slow playing his big pairs a lot. So although he raised pre-flop, the tiny bets on the flop and turn, that's interesting. Often people do that. They'll bet small with strong hands, and they'll bet large with hands they want to protect.
Player
You should be
folds.
betting relatively speaking the same
Fold.
in all cases. Interesting, right? So hopefully we've got a little bit of information on there.
Oh my god.
And a nice burp as well. So
That one's been developing for quite some time.
Gonna say that's got some maturity to it, some real good age.
The flop. Check. Check.
Let's take a peek at that balance, David Kim Bookie. There we go.
Bet.
1.823 billion plus another 25 million on the table.
Call.
Yeah.
The river.
So not bad. And the fun part for me is I've cleared 2 billion on the all-time cash, which has been a goal for a little while now. And the really satisfying part about that is that second place is, I think, just under 600 million, which is Jim Davey. And that's the sum total of all of the leaderboards for the cash games since those leaderboards started. Yeah, that gives me a lot of satisfaction because that's the leaderboard that opens up in the lobby. And yeah,
That's a call.
I'd be lying if I didn't say I wasn't proud of that. And don't get me wrong though, I also would like to have 2 billion in the bankroll.
Here's the flop.
And the difference between my bankroll and that leaderboard is high stakes Saturday, a few bets, sit and goes maybe, the VRPT buy-ins, although I was marginally profitable in the VRPT.
Player folds.
Yeah, so all-time cash, and for most people, all-time cash and bankroll don't add up
Fold.
for
The turn.
legitimate reasons.
Check. Check.
And funny enough, I did reach 1 billion on the bankroll before I reached it on the all-time cash. So the 2 billion's the other way round.
Call.
Assuming, of course, I'm going to get there. A lot of what's all these flushes. Yeah, definitely a value bet on the river there. It does seem to me that Kenway's reluctant to extract value out of his strong hands, worried he's beaten. You can't look for skeletons in the closet, monsters under the bed, whatever you want to call it. You've got to play your hands for value, like I say. And if you get raised, well, A, how often do you get raised on the river when you bet? And B, well, you can think about it. You're not obliged to call. A dirty Vega goes in the muck.
Fold. Call. Call.
It's a shame Wyatt's gone. I enjoy playing against Wyatt. He plays in a way that not many people do, which is loose but deeply thoughtful, and yet capable of really elaborate plays. So a big fan of his.
Bet. Fold.
Oh, Geeky's playing well here.
Raise it. Call.
Check raise there. It's only
The turn.
a min check raise. I never like a min raise because you're giving your opponent huge odds to call with everything. Occasionally it works in really big pots, but generally speaking, when you check raise or when you raise at all, make it bigger.
Fold.
Got to assume Wasteman's got a 9 there. Maybe a super draw like 7, 8 of diamonds. But more often than not, he's just got the 9. Whereas a check raise bigger really makes gives Geeky a very tricky decision. I think he gave him about 6 to 1 with that min raise.
That's a call.
King 3 of diamonds looks pretty,
Call.
but he's rubbish.
Fold. Fold. Call. Fold.
Speaking of pretty,
Fold. Player checks.
she's just joined us. So, hi Pretty, good to see you.
Player checks.
And Pretty in Pink also has a Twitch channel, which I'm sure you are already following, but if not, please try and find it. And if you want to stick a link in the chat, do that, Pretty. Yeah, no, I 2 reasons why I don't use the camera view. 1, I want you to see what I'm seeing, because what I'm seeing is what's affecting my decisions. And 2, because my computer runs like an absolute dog when I try and run that third-party view at the same time. So this is why I try and sit at the end of the table and keep my head as still as possible most of the time. So yeah, you're seeing what I see. And I always try and sit at the end of the table because you can give a lot away by swinging your head around in those middle seats.
That's a call. Fold. Fold.
So sorry about that, Dimes. You're stuck with staring through this. And I know some people prefer both. So
That's a call.
yeah. Hopefully, in the not too distant future, I'll be upgrading my PC and I'll have the option.
Call. Player checks. Here's the flop. Check. 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 Player checks. Check. Bet. Call.
Kenway bets on the button. Wasteman calls in the small blind. Zaf folds. Kenway's quite wide here.
Fold.
So limped pre-flop.
Fold. The turn.
Which means they could have absolutely anything, which is why you don't limp, because you want to know what your opponent's got. Apologies if this was raised, I missed it. Don't think so from the pot size. Wasteman can have a lot of 2s here, which is a shame, because I think for fiending at least. He's also got 6-7, he's got 10 jack, he's got ace-9, he's got 8-9. He shouldn't have too many sets, because I think he check raises the flop quite a lot with the sets, the 8s and the 9s. So if he's folding there, it's likely hands like 7-8, not even 9-6. I think 9-6 comes along, probably an 8 there, or maybe even pocket 3s through pocket 7s. And if it sounds like I'm just spewing random hands, what I'm trying to do is put Wasteman on a range rather than a specific hand, and that's what I'm trying to do all the time when I'm playing. What is the range of hands that my opponent could have, and how does that fit against the range of hands that I could have? And then if you want to go to the next step, what range of hands do they think I have?
Here's the flop.
Not that everyone thinks like that. A lot of people look down, see an ace, and go, got ace, golden. But to give credit to the people who play at this table, generally speaking, they're thinking a couple of levels beyond that. Very small bet from Dizzle on the flop, 1/3 of the pot. Again, limp pots, 6 ways.
Fold.
Very hard for him to have a big hand on that kind of board, because presumably if you've got ace, jack, king 10, king queen, you should be raising. Anyone could have a 10. This is going to be interesting. If someone bets, this pot could get big, because there's a lot of draws, there's a lot of jacks, there's a lot of flush draws, a lot of 2 pairs. If someone's got a flush draw, they're not getting paid at this point. Looks like it's geeky.
Fold. Fold.
Which, assuming he's got a decent flush draw, is why you raise pre-flop. Yeah, the ace-3 of clubs. Just saw that pop up on my, although it's turned it over. Ace-3 of clubs. That's why you raise that pre-flop to build the pot. That's why you bet the flop, so that when you hit, you build a bigger pot. And also with a hand like ace-3, which is unlikely to be ahead because there's a lot of low pairs out there, it pushes out the weaker hands. So he won a pot, but he won a small one. I know it wasn't the nuts because there were full houses out there, but when you get a 5-card hand, you generally speaking want to be in a situation to win a big pot.
Call. Player folds.
Also, we know that
That's a call.
Geeky's 3-bet range, or betting range, does not include ace-3, which means that his betting range, when he does raise pre-flop, is going to be a lot narrower.
Check.
I have missed that flop.
Check. Check.
If I sound critical of people here, it's not that I'm being critical of them, it's that I'm trying to talk through the hands, and apologies to anyone I offend for criticising. I'm as harsh on myself. And every hand is always something you can do better. I mean, I've just called a raise with 9, 10, 9, which is not good. Shouldn't have done that.
Here's the turn.
So Geeky bets the flop. Probably means he's got an ace. Glands is breathing very heavily. It just got even more heavy since that bet happened, so he's seriously thinking about this. Fiending can have a flush draw, he can have king queen, even a king queen of hearts, which would be a horrible spot to be in. But I think we just have to be sure that Geeky's got an ace.
The river.
Yep, and that's why Glands' breathing got a lot heavier as he turned the full house. Genuinely did. As that king hit, he started breathing like a train coming into the station. Cheers, Dimes. No, I don't take it as criticism. I want feedback about cam reviews and all sorts of things, microphone levels and the like. There's not a lot of talking at the table. I think because some people are watching me and waiting for me to criticise what they're doing. But also, it's not the chattiest bunch of people. But it's tricky to balance the table audio with my mic as well. Look at that. Herpes chips go in the middle.
Player bets. Call. Call.
Thanks for the host, Pretty. Appreciate that. I'm gonna have to mute. Well, actually, no, I'm not. I was going to mute Glands, but if his breathing is genuinely a tell, I'm going to leave him going and tolerate it. Let me know if you can hear him breathing and it's annoying. And when someone starts breathing heavier or sits up in their chair, they're interested. It doesn't necessarily mean they've got the nuts like he had last hand. People tend to breathe heavy when they're excited and unsure. But interestingly, people who are bluffing tend to stay very, very still. Because it's very hard to talk smoothly when you're lying or trying to sound relaxed. So to avoid that, people don't talk. Which means that the people who do talk, generally speaking, have got a good hand because they're comfortable to start speaking. So you can use that as reverse when they're still, they're less happy. Which is why generally, with very few exceptions, I don't talk during hands and I just stay absolutely stock still. If you're not moving, you're not giving anything away. As tempting as it might be.
Showdown. One pair. Fold. Fold. Call. Player folds. Raise it up.
Apologies, Pretty. I've mistyped your name in Lost Wasteman again. Hope he comes back and can talk.
That's a call.
Right, so we've raised pocket sixes. We're in late position again. We're raising it exactly the same as we would aces, kings, queens, jacks, tens, nines, eights, sevens, six, fives, fours. Ace, king, ace, queen, ace, jack, and a lot of mid-suited connectors. So I can hit any flop with those sixes. I could have pocket tens, pocket sevens, pocket fours. I could have a flush draw. I could have 8, 9. The fact that I haven't on this occasion is unfortunate, and Kenway's bet and he could have a lot of those hands. And in fact, he's more likely to have 4s and 7s and 10s, or 4s and 7s certainly in this situation than I am.
Player folds.
Because his calling range is going to include a lot more middling cards than my initial betting range. So we fold, and that's fine. Good call there, but it's not a lot of cards I'm happy about on the turn. Even a 6 brings a few straight draws.
Raise. Fold. Player folds. Player folds. Fold. Fold.
It folded all the way. A big raise from
Fold.
glands. Right, okay. Now, that's not a normal size raise, which in this game stereotypically means jacks 10s, because people don't know how to play them. So they raise big, hoping that everyone will fold. Of course, if people call and then hit, you're going to get stacked. Raise the same with everything. The only reason to change the size of your raise pre-flop is position.
Glenns, you may want to mute your mic. You're heavily breathing through it.
I can't understand.
Oh, you're breathing.
Raise.
You
Fold.
breathe loud. Your mic.
Fold.
Can you mute it?
Yes.
Fold.
Like that. I can hear you. Yeah.
Well, you know, I was actually monitoring his breath to see if it changes with hands.
That's a call. The flop.
Yeah, so he's right.
I was going to mute it. No, hang on a minute. Let's have a listen here for a while first.
Bet.
You
Might learn
suddenly hear-
something.
Call.
Right, now this is a
Well, you know,
interesting spot. So I've raised ace,
it could have been
king,
a
queen. The
tell.
flop comes 4, 5, 6, which is terrible for me. But quite often I'll continue
Missed
with
that
over pairs.
opportunity.
Fiending's bet, giving me the opportunity to fold when I'm behind.
Fold.
Whereas, and I'm sure he's got a hand that's relatively decent on that flop, but he hasn't given me the opportunity to continuation bet with the portion of my range that he's beating. Now, it could be 6-5, it could be 2 pair, it could be 7-8, and he's probably trying to protect against the flush draw. But you've got to give your opponents the chance to bet. So probably he's lost a bit of value there. I missed what his hand was, but be a good one to talk about later. Not a terrible error, but like I say, if you can eliminate donk betting, which is leading into the aggressor out of your game, you probably win fewer pots, but you'll have the opportunity to win bigger pots with your strong hands. And you can watch me for weeks, and you won't see me donk bet, which means I don't have to worry about balancing my donk betting range, and I don't have to worry about how my donk bets weaken my continuation bet range. Again, the term donk bet people often take offence at. It's not to imply that people are donkeys for doing it. I don't know why it's called a donk bet. Perhaps better to call it a lead into the aggressor. Sounds less offensive. But quite often people have two types of donk bet. They either do it with very strong hands that they want to protect, or with marginal hands where they want to find out where they are. Either way, check call or check raise or check fold.
Player checks.
I think I'm still losing. Yep, 5 million down. No worries.
Call. Here's the river.
That's not a normal size raise, which in this game typically means jacks 10s.
Check. Showdown. Flush.
Oh.
Call.
Ah, Mooses.
Call. Player folds.
So here comes Mooses. Mooses has told me that he's going to overtake me in terms of chips all time.
Fold.
And that's not the first time I've heard that, so good luck to him. Eventually, someone has to. Again, a big raise from Glands, 10x, so 10 times the big blind. Now, what's his stack? So Glands is sitting on 6 million, so that is 12 times. So I've got to win this pot
That's a call.
about 1 in 10. I think I'll win his stack about 1 in 10.
These big raises recently. It's been like 300 to 500 pre-flop now.
I think I've got enough of an advantage post-flop that I can make what is a little bit of a loose call with 10 jack.
The flop.
Geeky comes along to help, and I
Check.
whiff the flop completely. Obviously, there's a lot of
Player is
kings
all
in
in.
Glands' range.
Yeah.
That's a call.
He
That's
snaps.
Fold.
I bad beat a couple of people
And
so far.
turn.
Oh dear.
The
Now,
river.
Geeky 100% of the time should check those kings. He's been lucky that he's been called by Glands because he's very short. But Glands can fold ace jack, loads of pairs. So Geeky won there, but he lost. He didn't give Glands the chance to bluff. And yet, as we thought, Glands' big bet meant a big pair. So his pre-flop raise range is capped.
What's up?
Call.
I'm losing my ass today.
Fold.
I guess I
Fold.
can't play a hand yet.
Thanks for the feedback on the mic and the breathing. I know my mic pops a little bit. I need to have a look into that, see if I can stop it popping so much.
Call.
I think it's my own fault. For,
Oh yeah?
Fold.
That's
Fold.
why his mouth is all moving.
Yep. I'm talking about everyone.
And then catching me
Fold.
on a bad day when I'm playing like a donkey
flop.
over here, so it should be interesting.
I mean, he doesn't fully know how you're playing, right?
I'm showing on purpose some of it. Thank you.
Bet.
Oh, it's harsh. Savage.
That's true.
Fold.
Second best hand almost every time.
Some love.
The only
I'll be right back to play for real. I gotta change a diaper.
I didn't know he wore diapers, but good luck to him.
Goes all the way underneath the table.
Hey, when you're as old
Fold.
as I am.
Call.
Feeney's being critical of himself, which is good. Always be critical of how you're playing, but don't let it get you. And there's no such thing as being on a bad run or being on a good run. Every hand's a fresh start.
Fold.
And actually,
I qualify not to hold this thing.
the only hand he's played badly is the
Call.
queens on the king 10 jack board earlier. Other than that, I haven't really seen anything egregious.
Bet.
And a little bit of donking, but that's something that 90% of the people at this table do.
Fold.
You ever had those days where you're still off?
Yeah, I certainly know about them.
Probably the days I shouldn't be playing,
Fold.
or at least the times.
That's a
Can't
call.
Yeah.
Fold.
Pass up the opportunity to be critiqued by the 2 billionaire.
You're only 10. I'm 5 million down.
Fold.
Everyone's rubbishing my hands all
Call.
the time.
Check.
He's probably reading
The flop.
everyone knows exactly what I've got. Every hand. Why is she going for that?
Player bet.
To be fair,
How easy is she to fold?
I pretty much rubbish everyone,
Player fold.
myself included. So
Call. The turn. Bet.
Yeah, well, I'm playing a little bit more by the book today. I'm only calling hands that are good hands.
Fold.
If they're crap, they're crap. If the flop doesn't show any sign of interest, then I'm not going to play.
They're just giving away their strategies.
That's what I've learned.
yeah, so Mooses
Playing
is
like a
gonna.
donkey, so feel free to take all my money, losers.
Okay.
All in every
I don't know
time.
if you're
Player
playing like
folds.
a donkey.
At least if that happens,
That's
you couldn't
a
have given
call.
it to a nicer guy.
Call.
I've learned from past experience
Fold.
not to play this hand, so
Fold.
I'm going to fold that.
Call.
Yeah, so Mooses is
We've got 4 of a kind twice,
Call.
and nobody bet into it ever.
Check.
Wow. Well, it's hard to
Full
get
house
paid
on
before
flop.
time, that's for sure.
Made
Really hard.
$50,000.
Check.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
Check. Bet.
Yeah, he's played live clearly.
All my second
Um,
pairs and second best
knows
hands
all the
are
lingo.
raping me. Everybody's
Raise it.
But I'm not
Yeah,
sure
he
he's
doesn't
giving
even know
people in
your
this game
preferences.
enough respect for the way they play.
Well,
I mean, don't get me wrong.
Fold.
I know I've got an
He says
advantage.
yes. He's nodding his head.
Player
Got an
folds.
advantage. I've got an advantage over the field in this
That's what I'm
game.
saying now.
But I'm also aware of the fact
We're
that
gonna go ahead and
there's
call
some
this a
very
dirty
smart
call.
people playing this game, and
Getting back in.
you disrespect this
Donkey
game at your peril.
Call.
Playing with Chris Moneymaker, one of the things that
Yeah.
impresses me
Yeah,
about
right
him
head
is
to
the
guess he's
respect
playing
he's
right now.
given to his opponents.
What do we do to fix this?
You can see him thinking when he's playing, or
How can
the
I
way he
help?
talks about the game.
If I lose
That
this
won't
20,
fix
then
it.
I'm off for the day.
Okay.
So
Whatever you do, don't listen to Crab's stream.
if someone
He
talks
knows
some
that you're going to listen to it.
Player
He's just going to
bets.
say things that are going to help you give him money in the future.
exactly,
He wants all
That's
the
a
money.
call.
I do want all the money.
The river.
So,
So-
it's not going to be good information about you.
Yeah.
It's all
Yeah, I've
to
made
serve
quite the
an end.
swing so far from this table. 2 days ago, I
Check.
came up here with
Showdown.
4 mil in my bankroll,
pair.
played $1 million.
Nice.
Yeah, I knew I could have bet into that. Fuck, I should
Yeah,
have come
Down
up
to
with the top.
40.
did you have there? I was thinking, oh god, he's gonna got 2
It can
Ks
go
on
fast,
me or
though.
something.
Yeah,
Had the nut
Oh,
flush,
yeah.
One
nut
cooler
flush
and it's
draw.
gone.
gone, all gone. Yeah.
Player folds.
As long as you're
And a
you know,
lower
at
pa-
peace with that
That's
possibility.
a call.
Nut flush draw
Player
and a lower
folds.
pair than you.
So Mooses for me plays like a
Okay.
reg in a casino. I haven't
Raise.
seen a few gaps
Yeah,
in the
she
game in
definitely
terms of
this morning.
Last night you said
Call.
you always quit when you're losing because,
pre-flop.
Call.
I mean, I really want to play poker with you, but not like this.
That's a call. Fold. The flop.
Don't I have another donkey I can get?
Check.
I wish I could spawn more than one. I would, if I could.
There we go. Okay, two's enough. Anything more than
Okay.
that is just straight up obnoxious.
Oh.
Check. Check.
Two!
Player checks. The turn.
I'll allow two.
Every
Player
time
checks.
you bet, you're going to be throwing a donkey in because he's in the way.
That's all right. Because my bet is a donkey bet.
Bet.
See, not
That's a
donkey
call.
bet, a donk bet was what I was talking about. This is the thing.
Okay.
Now, Fiending's underselling himself,
Ready?
and that's just as dangerous
Call.
as overselling
The
yourself.
river.
He called? Is that
Check.
concerning?
Yeah.
Bet. Call.
I'll be honest, I lost
You
track of what
apparently
was
didn't
going
call
on
with
here.
the 2 spades I had hoped
Player
you
folds.
did. Nice hand.
Oh, you have 6-7.
Showdown.
Oh, I
Three
could
of
have
a
swore you had
kind.
6-7, man.
Well, he was representing
Yeah, that's
6-7, but
trying
it's
to,
such a small part of his
Okay,
range.
Yeah.
I think he bets more on the
I
turn
just
if he's
can't
got
lay down
6-7.
3 of a kind for that low price.
So,
No,
well,
you cannot.
wasn't the most
Straight
convincing
draw.
bluff.
Do me a
Call.
favor, though.
Flush draw.
Next time
Fold.
bet the flop so I can just be out of there.
Yeah,
That'd be helpful.
Hey,
that is
I
true.
induced a bluff, so mission accomplished.
Fold.
Well, next time you'll induce a loss,
Call.
so I guess it'll work itself out.
Call.
So it may seem ironic what I sit here telling everyone what they should be doing, that I then say,
Raise.
don't be the teacher at the table.
Fold.
But
Fold.
there's a significant number of people who like to explain what they did, why they did it, why they folded, and then justify their
Call.
hands. If you've played with me, hopefully I don't do that very often, unless directly asked.
Call. The flop.
Because why give away information? Why tell someone why you did what you did? And you can see sometimes people are embarrassed by making a bad play or a bad bluff. If you make a bad play or a bad bluff, A, people might not notice unless you point it out. And B, why tell them that?
Crash and I happen to come along at the right time or
Bet.
something.
Why let them know?
No,
No, Wyatt left a while ago. He said he'd be back though.
Why let them know that it bothers you? Just keep quiet.
Call.
If it was the right thing to do to make a bluff that got called, well,
So
Player
surprised
check.
it was
good.
Check.
You learn a lot more by listening than by talking.
Bet.
Nice bet by Fiend in there. That's representing a 10 pretty strongly. Zaf, could have a flush draw here, but if she's got a weak flush draw that's not ace high, she'll probably fold.
Player
There we
folds.
go. So she might have jack queen is the other possibility.
That's a call.
Dizzle can have a
River.
king here. The 2's an absolute brick. So you'd imagine a check call probably by Dizzle with the king. He's unlikely to have the ace. Fiending, if he's got the 10, he's trying to work out the right bet size.
Player is
Oh,
all
Dizzle
in.
shoves, presumably with a king. Fiending calls with a donkey and a
Call.
Care Bear.
Showdown.
And that was a bluff from
Pair.
Dizzle, which wasn't bad.
That's it.
Can't be bad at all.
I'm just convinced you're gonna lose every time you put money in right now.
Unlikely that Fiending's not got it there, but with only 1.3 back, I think Dizzle has to shove there.
And I got chirpies
Oh,
out of it.
nothing there.
Oh yeah.
How much down are we now? We are 5 million.
You can lose one donkey.
Well, last time we streamed, we lost 30 million, so we're on the right track. But like I
I
say,
think you should have started with
long
5
term,
and tried to get to 0.
doesn't really matter.
Player folds.
So what we got at the table? We've
That's
got
a call.
31 for Kenway, 20 for Zaf, 17 for Moosers, 20 for Fiending.
Call.
Yeah.
So 2
Player
short stacks,
check.
but really we're playing effective stacks of about 20 million, which is nice depth in this table, I think.
Fake chips and real
Bet.
and emotion.
Fold.
I don't have pride.
Real humans.
Player folds.
Fake chips.
I don't have pride.
Fold.
I just play.
But
Fold.
just because they aren't real
The turn.
world money doesn't mean they don't have value.
The
They
river.
clearly have value to us.
Showdown.
Oh, that's the bug you sometimes get
pair.
when people leave the table.
It's
Glenn's
just
just
like-
beat himself.
You know, collectible cards. Like, they only have value because people are willing to give them value. They're not money.
I like how the Care Bear's head goes ape shit.
Fold. Fold.
Care Bear's not well.
That over there.
Fold.
Mm-hmm.
Raise it. Fold. Player folds. Player folds.
I'm just going to take a little look at the leaderboard for the week. Oh, Smileynator. He's fun to play with, and he is the owner of the Ladybird prop. So we might see the Ladybird prop here, which is always nice.
Just a nice guy giving the thumbs up. That's who this is.
Oh, you Smiley.
Fold. Raise it up. Fold.
Oh, he didn't hear me. Can we see it, Smiley? I'm streaming, mate. Would you mind whipping it out so my stream can see?
Player folds.
Thank you, mate.
See
Call.
the twinsies?
Oh, cool.
No, there we go.
Player
Oh, the
folds.
bug.
The
Ah,
flop.
superb.
Oh, that thing's awesome.
Check. Bet.
Look at that. I know we're here for the
Cool as
poker content, but that's
Jordan was
fantastic.
flying that
Isn't that
That's a
beautiful?
call.
Beautiful
The
prop.
turn.
Love that.
Player checks. Bet.
Cheers, mate. Appreciate it. Oop,
Raise.
love that prop.
Fold.
That's got to be one of the coolest props.
Oh, yeah.
It's fantastic, isn't it? Beautifully made.
Yep.
I'm on the Vive, so flying those things is physically painful. You have to grip the stick
yeah.
so hard and then move.
Yeah.
It's a nightmare, isn't it? Oh,
Fold.
Really
No,
is.
not with these. Not with my controller. It feels
That's
no,
a
the
call.
indexes and some of the others, it's beautiful, but on a Vive, it
Call.
actually hurts.
You don't like it on the index?
No, it's good on the index. The Vive is horrible. This thing,
Oh, okay, yeah,
The
yeah.
Yeah.
Vive ones.
awful. You've got,
Like holding big meaty
Fold.
dildos.
and there's a time for holding big meaty dildos, but virtual poker's not
Check.
it.
The flop.
I'm trying to figure out if I've ever held a big
Check.
metal dildo. I didn't think that's a big
Player
no.
checks. Fold.
I mean, in a way.
Check.
I'm 3 minutes out of sync with you,
Check.
Pretty, so I'm not sure what point you're agreeing with, but I'm
Check.
glad I was of help.
Player checks.
Right, we've turned
Check.
3 of a kind here, but this is a bit of a straighty board, so I'd rather underrepresent my trips, and now I'm not getting paid. Trouble is, if I bet there, I'm getting called by a lot of straights and weird things.
How many months a week is that?
I'd rather just check that through sometimes.
You win.
rather than try and get clever.
But we're on stream,
I
so
bet there's fine.
That's okay. Make
Can't
crab
do it.
edit that shit.
no, there are personal questions about your life. That's what.
Well, I'll be right back. Dogs are barking. I'll be 2 minutes.
Fold. Call. Fold. Raise. Fold. Fold. Fold.
One customer. No customers. Okay. That's okay. I'll get you next time. Or I'll just bluff 3 million like I did to Kenway. You better not. No, I just changed your diaper. Why? Come here. Come here. Let me see. I should probably mute myself. Gross. I'll be right back again.
Must be another diaper.
This time it's
Fold.
Sorry about that. Dog was getting very excited, so let it out to the garden for a second. Alright, did anything happen while I was away? Moves as he's sitting out. Has he lost any money? Has he won any money?
Call. Fold.
Some people don't care whether they're winning or losing. Others change
Fold.
the way they play hugely, depending on how each individual session's going.
Call.
So Feeling's getting a little bit gun shy because he's lost a few hands. He's only really played one a bit off. But it's probably tightened him up a bit because he started off quite aggressive. Don't think anyone else. Kenway, like I say, he's playing well, but he's playing his strong hands a bit passively, playing a bit trappy. Glans is playing short stacked, although he's doubled up, so he's now someone we would like to get involved with. Geeky.
Fold.
Again, giving people the chance to catch up on them, and Zaf's playing pretty tight. Smiley I've played with a few times. Against playing short stack, and with all due respect to short stack people, with 2.4 million, there's not a lot to think about in most parts series. They're all in or fold.
Fold.
The advantage is, because quite often they are not correctly bankrolled for the table, they're more likely to fold than they perhaps should, so you can apply extra pressure.
Fold. 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 Call. Raise it up.
All right.
Call. Player
So
fold.
I'm still in the lead on the
Here's the
ring
flop.
for this table at the moment.
Player checks.
But I'm I'm definitely not going to stay up till 4 I think it's 4 o'clock in the morning UK time. So I need to at some point decide that I've got a decent amount. I'm about 40, 50 million ahead of Zaf, I think, in second, which should be enough.
Fold.
But you never know. Someone could come out of the pack and win a 50, 60, 70 million pot. But if this table stays the way it is, that's not happening because no one's playing particularly aggressive or particularly deep stacked. Some weeks this table, the winning, I've lost and come second with over 200 million. and I've won this table with 70 million. It largely depends
it
on
up.
whether you get a kind of crazy player in most given weeks, including Jordan.
Fold.
Jordan will bump the winning margin up,
Fold.
and which is
Call.
why I've got what I've got this week. I won a big hand against Jordan, and then another one against
That's a
Exotic's
call.
friend.
The flop.
So limp from Smiley, raise from Fiending,
Player
7,
check.
8, 8. Fiending's range
Check.
is doing well against that flop. There's a lot of 7s
Check.
and 8s out there, but there's
The
only
turn.
2 8s left, so he should really continue with 100%
Check.
of his range. He's, as I say, he's playing a little bit
Bet.
gun shy at the moment, so he's just checked. And now he's in an awkward spot because 125 is a tiny
Call.
fraction of the pot, and he's lost the initiative
Call.
to Smiley.
The river.
Smiley can have a 7, he can have all sorts of draws that have just come in with the 5.
Check.
So you expect Smiley to bet again here, and you would expect Fiending to
Bet.
fold. Geeky can have a draw that's just come in because Geeky's not particularly aggressive.
Fold.
So it looks like Fiending's folded over cards, and it looks like Geeky's draw has
Raise it.
indeed come in, and they might both have 6s. Smiley, call him with an 8, is that?
Showdown.
No, call him with a 7.
Pair.
And that was a good bluff from Geeky. I was wrong about him not being aggressive there. Unless he had a7, of course. And a good call from Smiling Opener. Yep, I'm not trying to be right all the time, because you can't be right all the time when you try and work out where people are and what their range
Fold.
is. But if you're right slightly more than
Call.
average, that gives you an edge.
Call.
If you're right about someone's range 60, 70% of the
Fold.
time, spectacular
Call.
advantage over someone who's trying to put them on a specific
Call.
card or not even thinking about it.
Check.
And the more you practice,
flop.
the more time you spend just
Check.
talking through
Check.
what people can have,
Check.
the better you get.
Check.
To the point where sometimes you
checks.
can say that person
Turn.
has this specific hand. Few and far between, but it does happen.
Fold.
Oop.
All right, I'm
Fold.
back. Oh, my sound was on. Did you guys hear me? That whole
Player
time?
bets.
No.
Oh, good.
Fold.
Scolding my children.
Fold.
4.5-year-old daughter just walked into the bathroom and just let loose everywhere. In her outfit. In front of the toilet. Like, what? It's so random. It's like the second time in 2 years.
Call.
Oh, just noticed both my controllers are running low on
Fold.
battery.
Fold.
At the same time that my son bombed
Fold.
the diaper I put on him 48 seconds earlier.
That's a call. That's a call.
So,
Fold.
anyways,
Player checks.
enough about that.
Here's the flop. Player checks. Check. Player checks. Check. The turn. Check. Check. Check.
Right, I've got one controller charging. Hopefully that gets some
The
juice
river.
before the other runs out. Don't normally let them get that low, but I was
Bet.
concentrating. Probably won't be going for too much longer. Thank you to everyone for listening.
Fold.
Really appreciate it.
Look at the crowd.
So I'll be
Call.
uploading this onto YouTube
Showdown.
afterwards.
A lot of work being the fan favorite.
The last possible thing I can expect is a runner straight.
That's the last possible thing?
Well, okay,
It's
let's
okay.
go back. One of the few
It's okay.
possible things.
Yeah. It is not usually on your mind.
Mooses has tried a few different strategies to needle me into playing against him.
And
It's all good
Fold.
fun.
It should be.
Fold.
Not worked yet.
Call. Fold.
And perfectly acceptable
Fold.
table talk.
Raise.
So do you think Crab
Fold.
would use the stream to help affect future play against people?
That's a call. Fold. The
Yeah.
flop.
Sounds like a lot of work.
Bet.
So Mooses is suggesting that I'm...
He's a shot. He's teaching everybody how to play, and then then we wonder how he knows every hand we're playing.
Call.
If I were him and I wanted to affect future matches against me, I would be extremely critical of me. That would be the play.
Bet.
That confirms Mooser's watching the stream.
Right now,
Fold.
he's saying, "Fuck Moosers. That guy's a donkey." That's what I just
No,
saw
he's
his
not.
mouth moving. I was reading it in his.
He's making some sort of joke, if anything.
Oh, he was probably picking on me because I picked on him.
No, I've given him enough ammo to analyze 5 times over for the streamers to realize everybody's going to be calling me after this nightmare.
Call. Fold.
Again,
Fold.
fascinating to.
Right now.
The interesting thing
Fold.
about the psychology of poker is
Fold.
everyone
But you have
gets
no donkeys left. You must
gets so far into their own heads,
Fold.
and
Fold.
worry
I
what
guess I have
everyone
to
else
remind
thinks about them.
No, I got
Um,
reminding myself
check.
of it.
Spots open.
Be your own
Here's the
harshest
flop.
critic, but don't let other people get in your head.
Spots open.
Oh, wow.
Bet.
Seats. So yeah, criticize
Fold.
yourself, but other people's opinion of your game just doesn't matter unless you can learn from them. And you can learn from bad players as well as good players. Always be learning, but don't ever let that little voice in your head undermine the way you play. And it's interesting to say, watching someone like Kenway is clearly improving, watching Cupid who's improving from studying.
Call.
Zaf's got a lot
Fold.
better in the last year.
There's some
Um,
opportunities.
the only
Call.
thing that's problematic is when you
You're
get
mostly
inside
right.
your own head and stop yourself from learning. So don't let people do that to you.
Call.
That's right.
Yeah, Dad.
Raise.
My
Call.
biggest strength in the game is my
It's your boy or your girl?
sense of my own level of ability, which is not bad, but I'm not the
Yeah,
best.
Player
But
folds.
I'm not. People can criticise my poker, and it
Player
won't bother me in the
folds.
slightest.
Here's the flop.
Oh, wow.
Bet.
Interesting.
Player folds.
That's not a good flop for you.
No, it wasn't. But it was one of my favourite sort of hands, so I had to have a look at the flop.
Yeah, it's a ideal hand in a big stack situation.
Mm.
You're not going to lose a lot, but you're going to win a lot when you hit.
Fold.
Yeah, but if it ain't on the flop, I'm not chasing it through the river.
Fold.
Baby, if you creep up on me like that,
Fold.
I might not see you and smack you in the face. I gotta stay back.
Raise.
I don't know, you just
It
kind
reminds
of
me of that video of that somebody's dad playing
Fold.
Beat Saber, and then somebody's daughter playing Beat
Fold.
Saber, and then she's like, swinging the controllers everywhere, and a little toddler just walks right underneath her into perfect timing whenever her hands are up, slashing the things.
Oh, he doesn't get hit?
He doesn't get hit, but she's swinging
probably-
everywhere. It was
is it
perfectly timed.
Is it real or is it
Call.
computer
It's real.
generated? Oh. Sounds
Player
computer
folds.
generated. Sounds like something someone would do. That's funny.
I was finally seeing the video. It's like somebody who
Oh.
recorded it on their iPhone while
Call.
they're playing in the living room.
Yeah, well, that did not work for my son. My wife was playing, and my son walked in and just got clubbed on the head.
Raise. Fold. Fold.
Mooses is keen to play a hand with me here.
Call.
I'm not going to bite in a minute. I'm fairly sure he's
The
going to start telling me I'm playing too passively. But again, just
Bet.
let the situation go where the situation goes. Don't force things. If you don't get the hands, if you don't get the... It's not always about the hands. It's about having the position to play a hand.
Call.
If they don't cop up, fold 50 hands in a row.
You're welcome.
turn.
If you get playable hands, 20 hands in a row.
The
Play all
high
20.
would be putting money in there if you would
Don't
just check.
don't ever force it.
It's really high.
Bet.
Good bet by Fiending. That will fold a huge chunk of Kenway's range here because
Yeah.
flush
Fold.
draws, straight draws, nice two pair combos. So good bet from Fiending there.
I'm just letting you throw it away. That experience of throwing it away. It's a cathartic moment for you. You're breaking out of this. It's all turning around right now. Thanks to me raising
Call.
pots and hitting nothing over and over.
Fold.
That's what I'm here to do.
For about 45 minutes.
Raise it
Having
up.
good hands. Betting right. Nothing.
Call.
We are on an incredible run of poor hands,
Call.
poor positions. Like Queen 7
Yeah, I
suited
spent
on the
3
button.
hours against Neon Ninja Panda hitting nothing
Call.
and losing. The patience
Here's the
eventually
flop.
paid off. So
Player
never know.
checks.
So much
Player
so I
checks.
limped into that hand with a great hand.
Bet.
So we have a raise, we have a bet on a 6-3, so any big cards. Shouldn't have too many threes in there, can have ace-3, but possibly checks that. Probably bet slightly smaller.
Whatever. Just because I raised ace-3 3 times in a row doesn't mean that's my range.
Yeah. His 2-5, that was his range. Good way.
You've never seen me raise a 2-5.
I know, I'm playing. Trying to give them.
I'm not saying I haven't done it. I'm just saying you've never seen it.
Player folds.
King 9 on the button. I'm getting desperate to play a hand here. Oh, if it folds to me, I'll raise. I'm not going to call
picking up
because
good
it's
hands,
a horrible
though.
spot.
Maybe.
I just keep
Fold.
folding and folding and
Player
folding.
folds.
And then when I
That's what
eventually
my
do play a hand,
pattern
it's
of
going to
behavior
appear that I've got a decent hand, whether I have or
The
not.
flop.
And I'll be able to represent strength.
Check.
Kenway
Player
was on a
checks.
heater there for a while,
The
man.
turn.
He was fucking getting the nuts every
Player
time.
checks. Check. The
That was
river.
a good day.
Check.
Checks through, checks turn. No one's got an ace.
Too bad
Player
we're all
bet.
playing
King
so cheap.
10 should bet there, but not a lot
Player
else.
folds.
That's a pair. You realize you have a pair?
A third of this came from Wyatt. He had the. I think you were here.
Yeah, that was a good hand.
He had the nut flush and a king full.
Yep. That was brutal.
And finally we get a
Thanks for
hand.
doing that. It gives me a chance at second
Again,
place.
when you've been waiting for a hand for a long while,
Fold.
the temptation is to play it to the death.
Untouchable
Took 2
unless something
hours.
crazy happens.
Raise.
2 hours of his earnings all gone.
So
Wasn't it like a couple
Call.
hands after he had just made 10 million?
Kenway calls.
It looked like he shot up the list and then 2 minutes later, boom, back
Call.
down.
Fiending calls. Zaf Limpton folds. Thank you for the extra
Here's
50,000.
the flop.
And we missed a flop by a country mile. Now the person with the strongest range here is
check.
fiending. Have I got the ace of diamonds? I haven't,
So
so
far,
I
I'm on the
check.
lovely
Check.
pattern of lose the big ones and win the small ones.
That's where
Kenway
Player bet.
bets, which he'll do with a lot of hands, a lot of
Fold.
draws. I could be ahead, but what am I really hoping for to happen on
Fold.
the turn? If I hit an ace, I could have already be dead to 2-pair or reset.
Could cry.
So fold.
Instead, I had a pair of threes and bet anyway. Got insta-called.
Kenway's on a heater today.
Oh, we're starting to warm up a little bit.
Fold.
Not
225.
last night.
Raise.
I lost 5 mil, but
Fold.
during the day I ran well. I bought in for 1 million, cash
Player
out for
folds.
23.
Well, that was last
Player
night. What are you
folds.
talking about?
No, that was like, well, sort of during the day.
That's a call.
I guess early night.
flop.
But I played later
guess,
that
I
night.
don't know.
And
Maybe
lost.
I'm not-
And that's a decent flop for Queen Jack. And we'll continuation bet because we want a
Doing
call
great the last 2 days.
from King
Bet.
10, Queen 10, Ace Jack, Pocket
Fold.
Fours. Unfortunately, he missed that completely.
You win.
I've been kind of up and down in small swings. 5 million, 10 million, 5 million. Up, down, all week. But I don't mind that. It's better than
Except
big
for one
swings.
stupid hand,
Player
the whole week's been
folds.
pretty tame. Except for
10 million,
one
Raise it up.
hand.
See, what's my battery percentage? Oh, they're charging pretty fast, actually.
That shouldn't have happened.
When we're doing a vibe,
Fold.
right?
Well, if it makes
Yeah,
me
there's
feel
this,
better that I gave her 8.5
application
million,
that
9
you
million of
can
my 10 million
download,
down, so I'm still only $1 million
for
down,
free.
like, off
It
of
tells
it.
I'm
you the
sure you
current
owed it to
time,
me
the
from
date,
previous
your
Fold.
CPU and RAM
days.
usage, and your battery percentages for your controllers.
Call.
Just giving me back what I probably
Call. The flop.
was due back.
It's really
I
useful.
think
Check.
you're still on the upside. I'm almost
Player
positive.
checks.
Always
Right,
interesting to listen to people talking about how they run. It gives you a huge insight into how they think about the game. And the more information they give away, well, I know I'm giving away a ton of information. I mean, everything I say is honest. Mooses was asking if I'm doing any kind of meta.
Player
gameplay in here. I'm not.
The turn.
I would love it if people got better through listening to this, or just even thought a bit more about the game, because I love the game of poker. And it's not costing me any money because it's not real money. So it made me very happy if people learn anything. But it's really interesting to listen to people talk about the game, because it gives you such an insight when they give stuff away. Fiending's down on himself, so that says something about the way he'll play hands. Mooser's a bit still hanging on to a hand that was 4 or 5 days ago. I've heard the story a few times. And narrates each hand, which is interesting. Zaf telling me she's playing tight at the moment. Smiley seems quite happy and he's trotting along there with his ladybird. And
no offense, I just don't never see you do it. That's what I mean.
So Mooses is narrating this and saying, "Is he bluffing here?" No. So he's trying to talk himself into a call here.
Call.
You're so comfortable.
Showdown.
And he called.
Oh, you got there. Yep, you are good enough to do it, and you just got there. You just happened to hit that thing.
He knew he was beat, but he couldn't find the fold. People do that quite often. They'll explain why they think you've got it, so that when they call, they can say, "Well, I knew you had it." Well, if you knew they had it, fold. And again, range is not specific hands. Raise from fiending. We have jacks in small blind.
Call.
This is a good spot because it looks like a squeeze.
Raise it. Fold.
Smiley calls and has 2.5 million back, which is the pot. So if Smiley goes all in, we're calling regardless, pretty much, unless it's an absolutely horrific pot. Fiending's not going to fold a huge amount here, but there is some of his range will fold, and Moose is on the button, so should call with everything that he called, but he's capped his range because he called the range, the raise, rather than 3-betting himself.
Call.
So we know he hasn't got a huge hand.
The flop.
And we flop a set. So we're going to check and give Smiley Nature the chance to put his stack in, which he's not going to do. There's no draws out there. There's no flush draws. We've now got the full house. Hopefully there's an ace-3 out there. I doubt it. So we're just going to bet that. I'm not getting paid here. I'm only getting paid very rarely.
Bet.
Doesn't look like I should have the 3. I'm not checking. I've obviously not got jacks very often. I'm not checking ace-jack. So this looks like I'm taking a stab at it. I would call me here. Moses doesn't think I've got anything. 950,000 for Smiley Nature. It's all going in. He doesn't want to call, but he kind of has to. Oh, he's missed his draw.
Folds.
And how the hell has that happened?
Oh my god. You were absolutely good. In all eyes, and somehow it was the right fold. Are you guys on a call together? What the hell? How did you fold that?
He had aces, right?
How did he fold that, Crab? Please explain.
Mike.
Hey, Mike.
Can you explain his fold?
Call.
3 words or less. I was
Not you. Not you. Not you. Crab.
I have no idea.
I'm just baffled beyond
That's
all
a
baffled.
call.
I'm guessing he put me on a 3. Put me on a 3, Smiley.
Call.
No.
Just the fact that he was happy that you had so little and he still did it.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll buy that. Still should call.
He knows you're absolutely going to call.
Check.
I didn't see his cards.
Like 100% of the time, and he still did it.
Yeah.
So you have to be. I still think only so much.
Well, I bet the flop with ace jack every time. So I'm not. I've rarely got one jack. I can sometimes have a 3, and I can sometimes have a miss flush draw. But yeah, hey ho.
What were his cards? I didn't even see what he flipped.
You 3-bet. I'm gonna say you almost never have a 3.
Oh, I shouldn't have a 3. I really shouldn't have a 3. I should either have. I don't know what I can have there. To be brutally honest, other than nothing or jacks.
Queens and kings would possibly do all
I don't check the flop with queens and kings, do I? So I don't. I was talking myself through it. I don't know what I can have there.
Fold.
It's a reasonable fold, but I don't think I can ever make it.
Yeah, I couldn't either.
In fact, all the money goes in pre-flop if it's
what I'm missing.
Yeah.
Makes me less of a man than alienated.
Oh, there you go.
Well,
he's thinking about every penny. No, if you're thinking about every penny, then fair play.
That's
I can understand that. Yeah.
Call.
Yeah.
My mic working?
Oh my god.
Yes, mate.
Yeah, you're good.
What did he fold? I didn't even see.
Aces.
Oh yeah.
So.
And he was right. It's amazing to see a correct fold that strong.
Insight into Mooses there. He said it makes me less of a man,
Fold.
which tells you that this game is about ego and macho,
I shouldn't have
and
given you so much attention over it. It was just
folds.
such a good, like,
which means you can definitely play into that. When someone equates the way they play poker to manhood and masculinity and all those traits, that's something you can play off of and you can really exploit.
Yeah.
This is not criticising him. That's poker. Poker is a brutal battle of ego and intellect. But yeah, he's giving the game away there a bit. Giving the guy a tough time, but he did say he was going to end up with more chips than I've got, so he's laid the gauntlet down.
Yeah, I've been getting a lot of the same crappy hands. Same suit, same everything.
Where are we on the bankroll? We are at 1.85 exactly.
Fold.
In 10, good enough to call, good enough to raise.
Raise.
Fiending's limped. He has limped a couple of strong hands recently. Kenway's out of the way. Geeky's thinking about it. And calls. That's interesting. Fiending's probably going to call. And we got a nice hand to see a flop with. We whiff completely.
Check.
But there's not a lot that's hitting that. There's no draws, so we're going to throw out a little continuation bet. Make it 500,000.
Bet.
That gets through enough of the time to make it a decent bet. And there is a spade out there, so we've got a backdraw, spade draw. And we take down a little pot. Power of the button again. I'm edging ever so slowly back to even here. 1.6 million and only 167 hands to do it. This is a grinding session. Not been a lot of big pots.
Raise.
Playing these sessions is where your meat and drink. The sessions where people are splashing around and there's huge 20, 30, 40 million pots are few and far between. And you need to win your fair share of those. I could 3-bet here with the Jack 10, but I think that's laying the gauntlet down a bit too hard for Mooses. He's likely to 4-bet. I think Jack 10 plays so well post-flop. We're playing deep enough that I can just see a flop and see what happens. And I've got a gut shot and not a lot else. That obviously hits his range a lot harder than mine. Don't know where Geeky is. He'll see about 100% of his range. If he's small enough, I'll call. Hoping to spite the offsuit queen. And it's not. That's about half pot, so we'll get out of there. Plus, Geeky's sitting behind us, and Geeky could have an ace quite easily. Or a flush draw.
The turn. Check.
The one and only Mike Cormier has joined us. Love playing with Mike. Had a good game with him last night on High Stakes Saturday at the end. He had his whole bankroll on the table, which I do not advocate. But yeah, always a pleasure playing with Mike, and hope he runs his bankroll up a lot higher than it is at the moment, so he sticks around.
I have a heart.
Check. Showdown. Flush.
Oh, there we go. So we had a raise, we had a C-bet with twos, which is fair enough, and obviously Geeky had a better hand until the fourth heart. Yeah, it's fine. Take a stab with the twos, give up on the turn. That's exactly what you should be doing.
Fold.
Would have been interesting if you bet the million. That would have been.
I know I'm narrating every hand, but so is Mooses.
Not to, because you know I can't lay anything down right now.
Raise.
I'd probably just call.
Fold. Fold. Call. Fold. Call.
So who raised there? Mike raised. Mike raises, very polarised. He raises with strong hands, weak hands, all over the shop. And does adjust his play to the table. Smart guy. C-bet, he'll C-bet a big percentage of his range. And we get a raise from Kenway. Now we know Kenway slow plays his strong hands. What's he betting there? tens,
call.
eights, set
The
of fours. Set of fours protect against the
Check.
straight. If he's protecting against the straight, that's not a great card. If Mike's got 8-10 his range, which he shouldn't have, as he bet pre.
Call.
That feels to me a lot like a
And
set
the
from
river.
Kenway or two
Player
pair.
checks.
Mike's got a big pair, presumably. Kings, aces, jacks, and that's a huge bet, which should. That's 20 million. That puts Mike all in, and if Mike's got kings or aces here, this is a horrible spot because that's a big chunk of his bankroll. Can't put Kenway on anything other than a set here.
Player is all in.
That is brilliant.
Showdown.
Fantastic. Huge triple barrel from Kenway, and Mike takes down the big pot with aces.
Calling 350 with that board, just didn't make any sense to me.
And he's right, because I think he slows down if he's got a set because the board straightens, although Mike shouldn't have it.
It just didn't make any sense. I had to see it.
Nice hand.
Great call, Mike. Great call. Yeah, so I think I would have folded there. There's absolutely no doubt. I put Kenway played that as if he'd flopped a set. Not quite sure what he was doing. You've got to say that was a bit of a
Player folds.
bit of a spew, to be honest.
Call.
Once Mike it's fairly clear Mike's got the overpair on the turn. Admittedly, the only way to get him off it is to bet the lot. But he's not folding the overpair that often. And there was something about the turn bet that didn't feel right because you think you slow down with just the naked set on that board because there's so many weird combos out there. That said, those weird combos weren't the kind of weird combos that most people raise pre-flop, but very interesting hand. And a great call from Mike that I don't think I'd have made.
I need a nap.
Call.
Normally I'd load up a bit more on the table at this point because Mike's there's a few people with more than me, but I don't want to lose more than 30 million because that would put me second on the leaderboard. So no sense handing it to people.
Gonna have to be big. Just letting you know. Like big.
Bet.
That's not big.
Just for value, I was just trying to get paid. And that is an honest statement, actually.
Oh no.
I believe I have the best
my
hand.
bankroll, it wouldn't be on the
Player
table.
folds.
My jack shrunk up.
Was I ahead before that?
You definitely, yeah. Well, we were.
Okay.
Well,
yeah,
you had me.
Yeah.
You kicked me by one.
Yeah, that makes sense. Good fold.
That's a call. Fold. Call.
Yeah. Limp from Zaf.
I wouldn't put my bankroll on this table.
Call.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. Unless Crab left, and then I might.
No.
Call.
I mean, it's not like anyone else is going to do it,
Call.
so it wouldn't really matter.
I never ever put more than maybe about 8% on the table.
Yeah, quite right, Feeney. There's a bit of a dick measuring contest goes on with the amount of money you put on the table. You put the right amount of money on the table for the circumstance.
Crab was there.
Check.
What'd you do? Put like
I pushed my entire bankroll in one hand.
No way.
Lord.
Yep.
Last night.
But you
that
didn't
feel?
Bet.
Pocket queens, and I got called with ace king.
Yep.
Call.
Flip for it.
I won it.
That's crazy. You coin flipped your entire bankroll against Crab.
No, not against me.
No, against.
Who was it? I can't remember now.
Squirrel.
Yeah, Squirrel. Yeah. He was 130 down, wasn't he?
How big was the pot?
Fold. Player folds.
64 million, 63 million.
Wow. Way to go. Way to gamble.
I would add a lot more money on the table.
Here's the turn.
I not had ace 9 2 pair over, and TTV Paul had straight.
Bet.
Who were you playing with? Crab and Paul and Kamikaze and
That's
yeah, I
a
went
call.
to the 100
The river.
200K table.
yeah, okay.
Wonder- yeah.
That sounds like a tough
Check.
table. I'm glad you came out ahead.
Check.
I
Showdown.
didn't come out ahead. I came out
2 pair.
6 million, 7 million behind.
Oh, you were down to
I had
that
to
and
go
then
to bed.
doubled back up to okay.
Nice hand, Smiley.
King 8 against King 9 by 1.
Yeah.
Every time. Could I have
He
shipped
won,
you off?
right?
That was
Raise it up.
higher bet.
Call.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, I don't
Was
go.
This is not a hand I
actually
recommend
playing
raising under the gun, but this table's
Yeah,
just
couldn't-
loosening
I
up
heard
a
the
tiny
reaction of
bit,
everybody.
playing deep,
Oh god.
Fold.
and there's the opportunity to
That's
spike
scary
a big hand
and
here.
exciting at the same time.
It
Player
was
folds.
exciting.
But again,
It's
don't do
nice.
this too often. I don't do this too often. I was hoping moves would come along there or play back from the button.
What would you have done
Fold.
if you
Now,
lost
Kenway's just lost a big pot, so the wheels are coming off
Fold.
there,
Probably take a
hopefully.
break again.
Yeah.
And there we go. Now, with a bit of luck, he's got an ace. He knows on continuation, but in
Bet.
100% of the time, he's not got an ace and he folds.
Fold.
That's a shame.
Say it was my entire bankroll. I had
You
$1,006
win.
left.
Oh yeah, we still had a tenth of a wheel spin.
Six eight again.
Yeah,
Full suit.
Raise.
Yeah. I'd say Kenway's a lot better than he used to be in terms of understanding the game,
Call.
but obviously he's still got that capacity to
Setting out.
make the
Fold.
semi-random bluff there, which Mike called.
Fold.
Really good hand.
I'll catch you guys later when I
See you.
get some of this.
See you later.
See you later, mate. Take care.
Clear my head.
Call.
I might take a break soon myself.
Fold.
I'm getting sick of these,
Player folds.
nothing happening.
Player folds.
Crab, you're streaming, but
The
you're not
flop.
commenting, are you?
Yeah, I'm talking through the constantly, just
Bet.
talking about what's going on.
Are you?
Player is
Yeah.
all in.
So you're streaming it?
Yep.
Call.
Where do you have it posted?
It's in general. Scroll up a wee bit.
And the turn. The river.
There it is.
Got it.
Showdown. 2 pair.
I always enjoy your commentary, especially when I'm playing.
Nice. 3 minute delay. I'm not gonna. I'm probably not playing that much longer. I really should go to bed soon.
It's about 1 in the morning over there, isn't it?
Yep. So
Where is it streamed? YouTube?
Call. Fold.
Twitch.
It's on Twitch, but he's got it linked to Discord in general.
Yeah, I upload to YouTube
There
after.
should be a link from
You upload the VODs, is that
Discord
what you're
in
saying?
general
Yeah.
or something.
I can barely
Raise.
hear it.
Call. Fold. That's a call. Fold.
Okay, cool. It'll be nice and deep, so we can call with Jack 9 spades. Don't mind the 3-bet with Jack 9 of spades there either.
Check.
That's a hell of a flop. We've got the flush draw, we've got the gut shot straight draw,
Return.
and we've got nothing now that's worth speaking of because there's a few queens out there. We can check raise this turn if someone bets. No one should have an ace. If moves as bets, he can have a queen, he can have king queen, but I think he bets on the flop.
170. Well, 100.
Queen 10's probably the only hand that I'm really worried about.
Player folds.
Let's check raises and see what we're doing.
Raise it up.
Check raising, we fold if we get raised on, and he folds it.
Fold.
So he didn't bet the flop, so it's unlikely he's got much there. Could be a stab with a mid-low pair that's not winning a showdown.
First hand where I really want to know when Crab is something like that. Because I accidentally did some things there that I think could have made him raise me later. Which then would make my fold terrible.
That's a call. Fold. Raise. Fold. Call.
And we check,
An automatic
Call.
fold in here.
we check raise
Yeah,
because
fold.
we're not winning at showdown with the jack high very often.
The flop.
He's
Yeah,
folding
so
a lot of
I
hands
continue
that are
on
currently
doing
ahead,
this
so a lot of mid pairs,
because I don't think
Check.
you'll let it happen
king
and
jack
stop.
maybe.
How do you
So I
think they
can
could
stop it
implement
if
it
I like
without
what I
it
see.
being something you
Player
accidentally hit
bets.
often?
And then he calls, and if he calls, we
Think
can
you
hit.
do it.
So hang on, Mike's bet 300,000 at this, 3 to 1. Has he got an ace enough at the time? If he hasn't, he has, we fold.
Fold.
Don't mind a call there either.
Fold. Fold.
But you can't do that ahead of time.
And this
You can only do that
very
when you're ready.
exciting moment.
Yeah, you can hit check fold.
We
ahead of
are
time.
541,000 away from
Deal
break
when I
even over
decide.
174 hands.
Oh, well, that would be
It's
unfair.
extremely
Until
exciting.
I sit down and decide. Oh,
For other people to know that you're going to fold before they made a decision.
No,
Raise.
check fold. You might check it.
Fold.
Mm.
Call. Player folds.
Well, that way I can play my
Fold.
Candy Crush and not have to stop to
Fold.
do what I'm inevitably gonna do is fold.
Call. The flop.
Or check.
Yeah.
Check. Bet.
Yep.
Fold.
Some hands want to have a look, but
You're all very quiet out there in chat. I hope people are enjoying what I'm talking about. If there's anything you'd like me to talk about in particular, let me know. Yeah, I enjoyed talking about poker, so I'll quite happily whitter on for hours. Don't feel obliged to chip in. So this will be uploaded to YouTube on the Look to Windward channel. And do follow the Relaxing Crab YouTube channel for all your aquarium-based comedy and hijinks.
Fold.
There will be a merchandise giveaway on the Relaxing Crab channel on the next show. I can't say any more at the moment for legal reasons. So raised ace, I don't like ace 10's a weird hand. Ace 10 obviously, ace 10 suited, completely different. It's too good to fold and too weak to win big hands with unless you flop exactly Broadway. Mike's led out helpfully there, meaning I can fold, because if he'd have checked, I'd have had to bet there. So he's leading out probably with a jack, possibly with 9-10, possibly with the spade draw, possibly even with an 8. And it could be that Kenway's calling behind with an ace better than my ace 10, ace 8, ace jack. Yeah, I say I raised the ace 10, limping would be even worse, but on the button, completely different story. Ace 10 obviously becomes fantastic. What have we got here? Ace jack, and that is why you don't play ace 10. So
that one just kept getting better. More cards came out until that spade slowed me down.
Even then,
he didn't have the nut flush at least. So it was
good analysis from Mike. He did limp the ace jack though, which I can't endorse that. Paid off for him there though. Kenway is definitely looking to win a big pot and win back the money that he lost.
Fold.
So Moses is looking to win a pot. Kenway's looking to win a pot. Kiki is on the downward trend. So we're trying to work out the state of mind of everyone at the table so we can exploit it. So worth keeping tabs on.
Check. And a turn. Check. Player bets.
And this very exciting moment.
yeah, you can hit check fold.
We are
Fold.
541,000 away from break even over 174 hands.
Oh, well, that would be
It's
unfair.
extremely
Until I
exciting.
sit down and decide. Oh,
For other people to know that you're going to...
Raise.
So much crap.
The only reason I vary my raise size is because of position. So under the gun, generally speaking, 250 or 275, round to about 200 on the button. So slightly smaller because there's a disadvantage playing out of position. So you want to fold out a few more hands pre-flop by just nudging up the raise size. And then you hit a beautiful flop like that. There's all sorts of draws. So we don't want them to fold. So we bet 700,000 and we hope that there's a king, a queen or a jack or a diamond draw out there. And that they call. Please call. Please call, Geeky. Please shovel in even. Nope. He only had 1.8 million, so calling kind of meant he was committed. So we win. And we're not betting there to make them fold the draws. We want the draws to call because they're losing at the moment. And even if they hit, we can still hit a full house. We are so close to the very exciting moment when we break even. Look at this, 391,000. Is this the hand?
Raise.
Well, It's going to go one way or the other.
Fold.
Can 3-bet 8s here, but it's going to be a 5-way pot. That's probably not a steal from moves as he's staring at me like mad to try and work out what's going on.
Call.
Right, let's see if we can spike another.
Fold.
Cheers, PM Lil. Gotcha. Good to hear from you, mate. Glad you're watching. Right,
Player checks.
so a few draws out there, which is going to make getting paid here a bit trickier. So I can feel the spirit of PM Lil with me on this hand. He should bet a big chunk of his range. He should bet fairly large because of all the draws.
Bet.
The good thing is, unless he's got precisely
Player folds.
8-10, I can represent one of those draws. So I could check raise here, but I'm going to call and hope for a high card on the turn.
Call.
That is why you don't play ace 10.
That is why you don't play ace 10. Now, in theory, my draw's missed and the high card's hit, and he's got ace king, ace queen, ace jack, and he should bet again, and then I'll check raise, which I would do with a lot of draws.
Crab, I don't
Bet.
always limp the ace jack.
So he's bet half pot there. I now check raise to about 7 million, and he's in a horrible spot. How much has he got back after that? 30. Well, he can have aces and he can have nines, but if he has, I'm just unlucky. But hopefully he puts me on a draw here, and hopefully he's got ace king.
Call. The river.
Right, I'm going to. He can have pocket sevens, but don't think they bet the flop. I'm going to go for it. We'll make it look like a bluff.
Player bet.
Just 7 for value. Give him a chance to shove the bluff. He'll just call with ace king, ace queen here. He knows he's beat, but if he's got ace king, ace queen, he has to call.
Got the 7-8 of clubs.
Excellent.
Call. Showdown. 3 of a kind. You win.
I'm glad I walked away from my ace queen.
That's the one we were waiting for.
Yeah, I had the 7, but I wasn't putting a lot of money on it.
Fold.
Not with what
An
it came with.
absolutely
Call.
perfect run out for you.
Fold. Call.
Absolutely perfect.
Call. Call. Check. The flop. Check. Player checks. Check. Check.
Now,
Check.
I think it's really important not to complain when you
Check.
lose, and I think
Check.
it's equally important not to comment when you win.
Bet. Call.
Whether you suck out or whatever,
That's
just
a
keep
call.
quiet and let
Fold.
people say whatever they want to say.
The river. Check.
And we are
Check.
now, how much
Check.
did we win on that hand?
Showdown.
14 million up. It took
You
us
win.
180 hands, but finally we got there. And that takes the bankroll to 1.868. So another 132 million to the 2 billion.
Player folds. Raise it.
Good to see you, Lil. Hope you
Call.
get back in game sometime, because you're always
Player
fun to play
folds.
against.
Fold.
And I hope you're safe in these exciting times we're all living in.
Call. Call. The flop.
I was considering going to bed, but the numbers watching are going up,
Fold.
and I'm enjoying this, and I think
Player
there's more
check.
money to be had. So, like all degenerate poker players, it's hard to tear me away from the table.
Bet. Fold. Raise it. Call. The turn.
So what are we on for the
Player
week?
bets.
Oh no, that's interesting. That is very interesting. 2 million to 5 million.
Player folds.
7 for value. Give him a chance to shove the bluff. We'll just call with ace, king, ace, queen here.
No, I was going to short card.
He knows he's beat, but he's got ace,
Red
king,
ace
ace,
No, you
queen.
have an
nine.
ace as well. No, I didn't have two pairs.
Gosh.
7, 8 of clubs.
Player folds.
The only thing I put you on
Can
other than
it
two
get any
pair was
worse?
ace king.
We might have had the same hand.
That ace jack.
That's a call.
Shove it.
Fold.
I'm glad I walked away from my ace.
Player folds.
That's the one we were waiting for.
Fold.
But hopefully he puts me on a draw here, and hopefully he's got ace,
Check.
king.
The flop. Call. Check. The river. Bet.
And the high card's hit, and he's got ace, king, ace, queen, ace, jack,
Fold.
and he should bet again, and then I'll check raise.
Fold.
Got ace, king, ace, queen, ace, jack, and he should bet again, and then I'll check raise. Which
Crab, I don't
Bet.
always limp the ace jack.
so he's bet half pot there. I now check raise to us.
7 offs and just
Call.
8 2 offs and every hand that is
Player
the
folds.
absolute worst. The
Player
ones that
folds.
are worthy of at least
Call.
looking at, the flop was totally different.
Call.
It's all the shit that I wished I had
Fold.
called with the
Check.
previous shit. That
Here's
comes
the
out.
flop. Check. Bet. Call. Call. Fold. The turn. Check. Check.
I will say on that hand, the set of
Player
eights just then,
Fold.
the turn, sorry, the river,
Fold.
pulled the board forward to a straight, so a 7 would have completed the straight.
Sleep,
And while he can have pocket sevens, that's literally the only hand that he has that can contain a 7. If he's got it, I lose. It's fine. But more often than not, is a whole range of hands, including aces, that he can have, which I beat, and I want to get value out of those. I could have checked and given him the chance to bluff, but if he's got ace, king, ace, queen, ace, jack,
Fold.
ace 10, ace 9 would have been 2 pair, then he's probably just checking it back, because if I've got
Fold.
nothing, I'm not going to call. And if I've got the straight, or
folds.
I've got a set like I did have, he's losing. So he's unlikely to bet the river. So hence the smallish bet. I mean, I could have massive overbet and made it look like a
Raise.
bluff, but that's not kind of my style. So I prefer to bet
Then
bluffs
call.
reasonably small there, and the
Here's the
value bet's
flop.
reasonably small. And I'd like to improve my overbetting the river game, something I've been studying. But he kind of has to call there. So it's a horrible spot for him,
Fold.
and not one that he's getting away from. The ace is a horrible card, absolutely horrible card. Because there's so many draws I could have that I miss on the turn and river. But again, that was my plan. Laid out my plan on the flop, and fortunately it came out the way I hoped it would. Doesn't often work out like that.
Player folds. Fold. Call.
I am
Player
a degen.
folds.
When you walk out of the
Call.
casino and you wonder why it's bright,
Call. Check. Here's the flop.
I'll be home later and you're in for breakfast. I fortunately have a
Player
very
check.
understanding wife.
Check.
Unbelievable.
Bet. Player
All my
folds.
crap's coming back out at me.
Check. The river. Bet.
And the high card's
Fold.
hit, and he's got ace king, ace queen, ace jack,
Fold.
and he should bet again, and then I'll check
Fold.
raise.
Player folds.
Got ace king, ace queen, ace jack, and he should bet again, and then I'll check raise. Which now check raise first.
7 offs and just
Fold. Call.
8 2 offs
Call.
and every hand
Call.
that is
Player
the
folds.
absolute worst.
Fold.
The
Player
ones that are
folds. Raise it.
And Mike's bet the
Call.
button 300k here. What's Mike sitting on? Mike's sitting on 40. Now I hate King Jack is a great hand to lose a lot of money, but for 250 I'm going to come
Call.
along. But we're going to be very cautious here
Call.
unless we absolutely spike this flop. We're out of position. It's a multi-way pot. Mike's got control.
Call.
Mike's range contains a lot of better kings and a
The
lot of
flop.
better jacks. And we whip on the pot. Do we have the king of clubs? Do we have the back door?
Fold.
We do not. We have the jack
Check.
of clubs. So all that's
Check.
happening here is we're getting in trouble.
Check.
Two gentlemen over there can both have sixes.
Player bet.
Mike has a overcard, deceptively small bet. Mike likes to bet small, bet 25% of the pot, and will bleed you away, which has its weaknesses, but is a great way to extract value from marginal hands.
The turn.
Seven's a better
Check.
card for
The hell was
Geeky.
that?
6, 7's in superb shape. 8, 9 just got there,
Oh, the
unlikely.
sound on one of those bomb things
Bet.
are repeating, looping.
That's a
Do you
call.
know where it is? I'll go get it.
No,
The
it's
river.
the ladybug.
Oh, it's Ladybug.
Oh, I thought it was one of those little
Flapping of the
bomb
wings.
things.
Player
Never
is
mind.
all
So
in.
check from Mike, all in from
That's
Geeky,
a
which he
call.
has to do with pretty much his whole range. He's likely
Showdown.
missed his flush draw, and he has, and a great call from Mike with the ace jack. I think Mike knew exactly where he was.
I thought for sure he was chasing that flush.
Nice call, Mike. Yeah. Yeah,
I told you I don't always
How do
limp the
you-
ace jack.
Move it.
if I don't criticise you for limping an ace jack, then I couldn't look myself in the mirror in the
And
morning.
you're not doing your job?
Exactly, I'll be like,
Call.
I just like being sneaky once in a while.
Fold.
oh yeah.
Usually you don't get any profit out of limping the ace jack
That's a
because all
call.
the small cards stay in it.
Call.
Yeah.
Board hits, but
So-
in that case,
Fold.
it well.
Fortunately, some idiot raised you with ace 10 offsuit,
Check.
so yeah.
The flop.
I enjoy it when that person
Check.
does that.
Yeah.
Especially when he doesn't typically
Check.
raise with an ace 10 offsuit.
No, I didn't like
Check.
that from the get-go.
Check.
Yeah.
Here's the turn. Check.
Rub the little belly.
Bet.
Do you see PM Lils in the watching the Twitch? Haven't seen
Fold.
him for a long while in game.
Only
Yeah.
1, 2 or 3 outs in that, and I gravely doubt I'll hit it.
Fold. Fold.
I was just going to check where we are on the leaderboard for the week. We're at 114 million, which, barring a disaster, barring Jordan turning up alongside someone with a chunk of change, should be enough to secure the ring. So no one misses Jordan to take that empty seat. Although, to be honest,
Player
it'd be
folds.
great to play Jordan on stream.
Raise.
Well, I would
Sorry,
love
I
that.
had to go.
Call.
Alright, I'm gonna try going to end seat over there.
Fold.
So I'll be back.
Cool, mate. I'll slow it down.
Fold.
Oh, I just folded. I won't slow
Player
it down.
folds. Call. The flop. Bet. Call.
Hey, there he is.
Call.
Say his name and he shall appear.
Hello.
How you doing, sir? Literally just said, I haven't seen you for a long while. Did you see him in the
Yeah.
chat to
Yeah, that's
Mike?
what you just said.
How you been doing, mate?
Yeah, I've been doing fine, man.
Staying
Oh.
safe?
Yeah,
Fold.
I've been
The
been
river.
working for most of the time. We only stopped for 2
Check.
weeks, and even on those 2 weeks, I was working from home.
Oh, what
so-
the?
Yeah, I've never been busier.
I guess
I mean, I've been working at home the
Oh.
whole time, but honestly, I've never been busier.
Side pot.
Oh, we got right
Two
points.
pair.
It's better this way.
The sound of the
pot.
game is way louder than what I remember.
You accidentally did the right thing.
Smiley Nater is one of the beta testers, and he got the Ladybird for finding what was a game-breaking bug back in the day. I think he's a developer by profession. Lovely fella.
Fold.
I've seen him before, but he often doesn't play for a few
Oh,
months and then
Never
comes back
mind
again.
about that fucking end seat.
Fold. Raise.
Yeah, seems like a really nice fella.
And we
Dutch.
got to put 40
Player
million down.
folds.
I don't have 4 million.
No, I was
Fold.
talking to Kenway.
Call.
I do, don't
He's
I?
on a heater.
The flop. Check.
Now that's a good flop. And Leo does not mind gambling, but I'm
nobody
not
on
sure
that
where his
seat for like
bankroll is.
20
Love playing
minutes,
against
and the
Leo.
moment I leave to go and rejoin, take that seat.
Fold.
join.
Yeah, that's true.
During the days of this game where there was only one
Spamming
leaderboard,
the fuck out of that join button.
Leo was always engaged with that. Pleasure to play against. But capable of insane bluffs. We had some hilarious hands back in the day.
And wait, you just keep hitting the
Player
button
folds.
like this?
Fold.
No. Well,
Just hold your finger in it.
it's my hand where it just spams it for
Call.
you, and I just
Yeah, there
enable
you go.
my Steam VR dashboard so that way my hands remain frozen.
I was
Call.
gonna say because if you
Oh,
do
and then
that,
it
you
keeps
put it
doing
Call.
it while you're in your
you put your
dashboard.
hand underneath.
Yeah, because I'll put my
cool.
hands right here, and then I'll enable
Player
my Steam
checks.
VR dashboard, and they stay frozen.
The flop.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Check.
So that way I could just watch
Check.
YouTube videos while the thing's spamming join.
You probably noticed how often I look at the table, pop it up in front of
I
myself.
put my hand underneath it and it just bounces off of it. And typically I'm watching something up here and I just let it bounce on my lap.
That's what she said.
Fold. Player folds. The turn.
Yeah, I pop up the table constantly to look at the pot size. But the important thing about that is I try and keep my hands out of sight because if someone's looking at their watch, it's usually because they're interested in the hand. You don't want to give anything away.
Fold.
One of the reasons why I keep my hands below the table. I saw an ace. So I've got no idea how long we've been streaming for, but it's got to be 3-4 hours. So thank you for anyone who stuck with me all through that.
Raise.
This is a loose raise. I should be folding this. I'll tell you that in advance. So this is how to misplay our hands. We've got Queen 10 suited in under the gun +1. When you get called, we're going to fold to a 3-bet. If anyone 3-bets to anything remotely decent. Kiki calls us. He's only got $1 million back. So the problem here is that I'm out of position to go with only $1 million behind. So if I see bet and he's got it, he calls and I lose another $1 million. So I back myself into a corner. So we're just going to check fold.
The turn.
We've now got a flush draw, so we kind of have to bet that because that will fold out a lot of ace highs that we beat. It gives us a chance to get called and hit the other club on the river. And he folds probably a hand that beats us. So I look tiny win, but still don't play Queen 10 suited under the gun +1. But if you do, raise it. Don't limp it. I wasn't winning that hand if I limped. Because there'd have been at least a big blind in it. Probably a couple of others.
Fold. Raise it up. Fold. Fold.
So Winbot, how long ago did you return to the tables?
It was about early March, I think, just as it was all kicking off with the.
It's still muted.
Oh, sorry.
That was so close.
So close.
That was so close. That was like
how long ago
right
did you return to
fucking
the
there.
tables?
Was it?
Early March.
Yeah. I'm like, don't fall in, don't fall
I
in.
didn't even
No,
register
just on
that
the
that
line.
could have happened.
Raise.
I didn't have that moment
Yeah,
of
you
panic.
just did it like this, but
Fold.
I'm folding really, so. Yeah, it was like that.
Call.
So
The flop.
Mooses raises, Safari raises. Saf's got a big hand. She's checking to see she's got a heart, so that's probably a big pair. She's checking. I suspect she's going to shove over this bet. If she's got a big pair, she will. Mooses has also got a decent hand, but he knows he has to see bet. Very wide there. She's sighing, which probably means one of two things.
Oh, I'm sure that's going to throw me.
There we go. That's the only thing in
I should have re-raised your pre-flop.
her range that he's folding there.
Yeah. I just knew it would.
What did he have? We didn't say what he had.
That's the best hand I've had in the last
Should have
50
just
though.
5-bet you. Tried to be greedy.
No.
You
No, I wasn't going to get committed, not with 3 hearts out there, and what I've done in the last 50 hands. I've had like 2 7 offsuit, 3 9. Just
You had five. You had 5 red cards there, Zaf. You got to play 5 red cards.
Player folds.
She's not.
I was going to get fried on it.
Player folds.
You dealt 5 red cards, like 4 in a row. Early March PM, as all this stuff started kicking off in the world, I thought, you know what, there's more important things, and it's been
Let's dive into VR again.
exactly, yeah.
Call.
Yeah, and it's been a godsend.
For my early match, that's when I stopped playing poker again.
Yeah.
Player check.
The annoying,
Turn.
Diving in on
the annoying thing is, I was just getting
Check.
into playing live a lot more. I'd started going relatively frequently, and I was really starting to enjoy it. For the first time in years, I was starting to enjoy it again. And then suddenly, obviously,
Call.
that's the end of that. So yeah,
Suddenly, yeah, all the casinos
yeah.
Check.
Yeah, I played just before Christmas. I played in a no, sorry, it was Boxing Day. I played in a tournament. Someone said you should come play in this. Played in it, won it, which is standard. First time back after a while, you win the tournament. But I enjoyed it as well. It was nice.
we were all gonna meet on the fucking Lex Live, isn't it?
Oh yeah, that was I've forgotten. So many things planned for April through June. My daughter's 18th and 21st birthdays. That meet up. I was going to
I had 2 weeks off to go to Lex Live.
Oh, it's going to be great. We'll get there. It'll happen. It'll happen. I was going to go to TwitchCon with my daughter in Amsterdam. All in the space of about 6 weeks.
Fold. The flop.
See you later, Smiley. So
Yeah.
we've got just my friend Kenway here, who is currently
Player
playing a bit spirit. Normally I bet it's a bit smaller there, but I think he's coming along with anything reasonable. There's not many draws out there. Shouldn't have Queen 5, 2, 5. Shouldn't have Queen 8. You can have pocket 8s. You can have pocket 5s, pocket 2s. How much has he got back? 8 million. We're going to stack off if we have to here. More like he can have 5, 7. 5, 7 is problematic. More like he's got King, Queen, Jack, Queen. Even Jacks. He's going to shove. We could be beat by pocket 7s, pocket 5s, pocket 2s. But we have to call. What we got?
A set of deuces?
Yep.
Showdown. 3 of a kind.
Nice answer.
Thank you.
Yeah, just got a call off there. 4 million on the end. 4 million on the end.
I felt like I was just shoving it in bad there. I thought I may have had some queens or something.
You've either got King, Queen, or a set there.
Call. Fold.
Such is life.
Raise it up. Fold.
Right, and we're back pretty much where we started today at 104 million. He's all in 300,000 into 1.3. We have to call. And that's not a good flop.
Bet.
And we've Kiwid. And that is that's terrific. Split pot. Flops the absolute stone cold conkers. And
pick up on it right after. It's too bad, Avi.
loses to or gets a chop pot. Yeah, moves at aces. He should have got that all in pre. If it's at 4 bets, she's not folding. You don't want to shovel in necessarily. You want to 5 bet to a point where she can't fold it and then get it all in on the flop. Yeah, particularly when you got aces.
Fold. Fold. Call.
Right, we are now a mere 5 million up. We're approaching 200 hands.
Check. Check.
I think, ladies and gentlemen, I have to call it a day very, very soon. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned something. I learned stuff. I learn stuff every time I talk about poker. I'm going to start chopping these up, maybe do a few highlights. I'll post it on YouTube, as I say, if anyone wants to watch it on there. Look up the Relaxing Crab on YouTube. Nice bluff from Cupid. And I think at that point, I'm going to shut down my stream. Take care and be safe, everyone.